Live streaming is on.
Sending 1 million cold emails, sending 1 million cold sending 1 million cold emails a day, the traditional way, costs over $2 million a month. Let that sink in.
Yeah,
Pause, 1 2s, over $2 million
it's staggering.
every single month just to hit send. And here's the reality of the situation.
Right.
The broader email marketing industry, they have absolutely zero incentive to share that math with you. None.
Because they thrive in the dark. I mean, let's be honest.
Exactly. They have built this this entire ecosystem that's basically designed to just quietly drain your budget, with these extortionate, really fragmented fees.
While keeping total control over the infrastructure.
Right. Well, today we are shining a massive spotlight on that ecosystem. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Because our mission today is to uncover the hidden and frankly just staggering fees of the email marketing and outbound outreach industry.
We're basically putting the whole industry on trial today.
We really are. We are meticulously comparing the old guard business model, which relies on shared hosting.
Right, the traditional way.
Yeah, against this truly radical, liberating alternative, an architecture called no limit emails.
It's a completely different way of doing things.
It is. And for this deep dive, we've spent days synthesizing these extensive technical breakdowns, line by line pricing comparisons, and hours of live stream transcripts directly from the founders of No Limit Emails.
As they publicly benchmark their system against the big guys.
The undisputed giants. We're talking HubSpot, Aweber, Salesforce, Klaviyo, Keep, all of them.
All heavyweights.
Right. We are putting the entire back end of the internet on the table.
Right.
We want to see exactly what you are paying for, and more importantly, how you are being systematically overcharged.
Systematically is the perfect word for it, really.
So let's dive right into this $2 million number. Because, when I first read that in the sources, my brain just actively rejected it.
Of course it did.
Like, how is that even mathematically possible?
Well, it sounds completely fabricated at first glance, right?
Right.
Because it defies our everyday experience with the internet.
Right. We just think email is free.
Exactly. We're conditioned to think, sending an email costs nothing. I open my Google Workspace or my Outlook, I type a message, I hit send. It doesn't cost me a dime.
Right. But we aren't talking about sending a quick note to a coworker.
No, not at all. What we're talking about today is the mechanics of scale.
High volume.
Aggressive, high-volume business growth.
Hmm.
And when you look closely at the fundamental business model of the entire traditional email marketing industry,
Yeah.
you realize it's built on what I can only describe as a paradigm of punishment.
A paradigm of punishment. That's a heady phrase.
It sounds dramatic, but it's true.
But it feels accurate based on the numbers we are looking at. So explain the mechanics of that. How exactly are these platforms punishing businesses?
So they actively, structurally punish your business for achieving its goals.
Wait, for succeeding.
Yes. Think about the primary objective of any expanding enterprise. You want more leads, right?
Right. You want a bigger audience.
You want to build a larger database to reach a wider audience. That's just the lifeblood of commerce.
Obviously.
But the very moment you start succeeding at that goal, the traditional SaaS platforms, they penalize you.
By jacking up the price.
Exactly. As your contact list grows, your monthly fees skyrocket. And here is the truly insidious part of the whole model.
Okay.
Those fees skyrocket regardless of whether those contacts are actually engaged or opening your emails or buying your products.
Oh, wow.
You are being taxed simply for the privilege of holding the data.
So it isn't based on how much value you are extracting from the list at all. It's basically a storage tax, just disguised as a marketing service.
That's exactly what it is.
Let's look at some of the legacy players from the sources to illustrate this. Let's take Aweber, for example. They've been around forever, right?
Yeah, 26 years. Aweber is essentially the granddaddy of the autoresponder space.
They wrote the book.
They built the blueprint. So say you spend years building a successful business and you manage to organically gather 100,000 subscribers.
Which is an incredible, life-changing milestone for a lot of independent businesses,
Oh, absolutely. But Aweber is going to charge you roughly $1,000 a month for that,
$1,000 a month, that's 12 grand a year.
just to maintain the ability to speak to the people who explicitly ask to hear from you.
That is wild.
Precisely. And it scales up aggressively from there, depending on the platform's target demographic.
Like who?
Look at a platform like Kit, which was formerly known as ConvertKit
Yeah.
before their rebrand,
Oh, right. They're huge with YouTubers and bloggers.
beloved by creators. But their pricing scales incredibly rapidly.
How bad does it get?
Well, if you hit 400,000 contacts, which is actually very common for mid-sized creators and e-commerce brands,
Sure.
you are looking at around $2,300 every single month.
Wow. It just chips away at your profit margins as you scale.
Yeah.
And then we have the enterprise e-commerce heavyweights. What happens when we look at Klaviyo?
The numbers for Klaviyo become absolutely absurd when you reach true enterprise scale.
Prepare me.
If you are a massive, successful direct-to-consumer brand and you have accumulated 10 million leads in your database,
Okay, 10 million leads.
Klaviyo charges a staggering $32,000 per month.
Pause 1-2s. $32,000 a month.
Yep, every 30 days.
That isn't software overhead. That is payroll.
Exactly.
You could hire an entire department of highly skilled employees for that amount. You could buy a fleet of company vehicles. That is almost $400,000 a year just to rent access to your own audience.
And I think rent really is the operative word there, isn't it?
It's the only word for it.
Because to understand why the industry feels justified in charging this much, we have to look under the hood at the structural flaw of the old guard.
The actual tech behind it.
Right. These platforms operate on an architecture known as shared hosting and shared APIs.
Okay, let's break that down because the architecture is where the trap is set from what I'm seeing in the data.
It absolutely is.
Explain shared hosting and shared APIs for someone who, doesn't spend their days configuring servers.
So it essentially means you are pooled together with thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of other businesses.
Like a massive digital roommate situation.
Basically, when you build an email campaign in a traditional platform and you finally hit send, your email does not travel down a private, dedicated highway to the recipient's inbox.
Okay, where does it go?
Instead, it gets crammed onto a massive, crowded public bus with everyone else's emails.
Ah, I see.
You are all sharing the exact same digital infrastructure. You're sharing the same server space, the same sending APIs, and most importantly, the exact same IP addresses.
So if I am understanding this multi-tenant architecture correctly,
Yeah.
it is like renting a tiny, expensive apartment in a massive complex. The landlord charges you a premium every time you invite a new friend over.
Yes.
And worse, if your neighbor down the hall decides to throw a massive rowdy party and play loud music at 3 a.m.,
Which happens all the time on the internet.
right? You are the one who gets the eviction notice from the city, even though you were just sleeping quietly.
That is a brilliant analogy. And structurally, it is exactly how email deliverability works on a shared API.
Because you're sharing the reputation.
Exactly. You could be the most pristine sender in the world. You can have perfect email hygiene.
Yeah.
You never buy lists. You never spam.
Your customers absolutely adore your content.
Right. They open every message. It ultimately does not matter.
Because of the neighbors.
Yes. You are at the absolute mercy of the worst sending habits of the other people sharing that same IP address.
Because Google and Microsoft, they don't necessarily know the difference between the specific users on the back end, right?
Yeah.
They just see that IP address acting erratically.
Exactly. They see a fire, they block the whole building.
Yeah.
This dynamic is specifically highlighted in our sources when analyzing platforms like Elastic Email, which relies heavily on shared infrastructure.
Right.
You can be the best marketer in the world, but if another user on that shared IP, a bad actor, decides to blast 100,000 spam messages to a scraped or purchased list, the algorithms at Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, they flag that specific IP address as a threat.
And suddenly, without warning, your perfectly good newsletter goes straight to the spam folder.
Through no fault of your own. You are paying premium, constantly increasing prices, just to be found guilty by association.
That is maddening. So the legacy architecture is effectively a double bind.
Highly effective double bind for them, yes.
The traditional platforms are financially punishing your growth with exponentially high fees. And simultaneously, they cannot even guarantee your deliverability.
Because they're prioritizing their own profit margins.
By cramming you onto a crowded bus with bad actors to save on server costs.
Precisely. They maximize their profit by maximizing the density of users on a single server, which inherently degrades the quality of the service for everyone.
Wow. And this raises an incredibly important operational question.
What's that?
If the standard platforms punish your growth and jeopardize your deliverability, what happens when an ambitious business gets fed up?
Oh, they try to leave.
Right. What happens when an enterprise decides, you know what, I am not going to pay Aweber or Klaviyo this ransom anymore. I'm going to circumvent them and build my own massive, high volume, outbound, cold email system.
And this is where the story gets really dark and honestly really interesting.
Because the natural entrepreneurial instinct is to say, fine, I'll do it myself. I will engineer my way out of this trap.
Right, I'll build my own engine.
But the sauce ecosystem has essentially booby-trapped the exits.
They absolutely have.
Which brings us back to the $2 million ransom from the very beginning of the show.
The math everyone is waiting for.
Yes. I really want to take our time here and break this down step by step because the brutally honest math of sending 1 million cold emails a day using the traditional fragmented methods is something every business owner needs to hear.
It's eye-opening.
How does the extortion actually work? Like line item by line item?
Okay, let's do the hard math. Remember, the objective here is sending 1 million emails a day safely to cold contacts.
Right, meaning people who haven't explicitly opted in yet.
Exactly. Because of the incredibly strict sending limits and spam filters imposed by the major receiving providers, mainly Google Workspace and Microsoft Outlook.
They are watching everything.
They are. You cannot just spin up one email address and blast 1 million messages. If you try that, Google's algorithms will shut down your domain in less than 5 minutes.
Pause 1-2s because they are looking for human behavior, right? A normal human being does not send 1 million emails a day from one keyboard.
Exactly. They know it's a bot. So to stay under the radar and mimic human behavior, you have to spread the load out.
You have to dilute it.
You have to spread it out across a staggering amount of infrastructure. This tactic is sometimes referred to as snowshoeing in the industry.
Snowshoeing, like spreading your footprint wide so no single point bears the weight.
Perfect way to picture it. To send 1 million emails safely using standard cold outreach tactics, industry practice dictates you need roughly 10,000 separate, unique domains.
Okay, let's pause and calculate that first step right there. 10,000 individual domains.
Yep. The goal is to have each domain send only about 100 emails per day, which looks entirely normal and benign to a spam filter.
Right. So if a basic.com or .co domain costs roughly $10 a year, we are talking about $100,000 a year just to register the URLs.
Just for the names, yeah.
That averages out to roughly $8,333 every single month in domain registration fees alone.
And you can't just buy them. You have to host them.
Oh, right. Because if you point 10,000 domains to the exact same cheap hosting server, Google will instantly see the footprint.
They aren't stupid. They will realize they are all connected to the exact same source. So you have to host them dynamically.
Spread out the hosting too.
Right. Even if you secure incredibly cheap hosting for each of those 10,000 domains, let's conservatively say $10 a month per domain.
Okay, 10 times 10,000.
That is $120,000 a month in hosting fees.
It is dizzying. We are at $128,000 a month, and we haven't even sent a single email yet. We just have empty addresses and empty servers.
Exactly. But to actually send the mail, you need the email accounts themselves.
Yeah.
The inboxes.
Right. You need the sender identities. And again, I'm assuming you cannot put too much strain on one inbox.
No, absolutely not. To spread that 1 million email volume thinly enough, you need approximately 50,000 individual inboxes.
50,000 inboxes. Wow.
You might source these from Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, or specialized inbox providers. And you restrict every single one of those 50,000 inboxes to sending just 20 emails a day.
Because 20 emails a day is virtually indistinguishable from a normal office worker communicating with clients.
That's the ultimate camouflage.
But camouflage is expensive. Let's do the math again.
Oh.
A standard Google Workspace inbox costs about $7 a month.
Right.
If you need 50,000 of them.
You are looking at an ongoing cost of $350,000 a month.
$350,000. We are nearing $500,000 a month just for the digital real estate.
And we aren't done.
And it strikes me that managing 10,000 domains and 50,000 inboxes is not something you just automate with a simple script and walk away from.
Oh, not even close.
The logistical nightmare of password management, account suspension, server health, it must be immense.
Which introduces the human cost. You cannot manage an infrastructure of that magnitude manually or with a single, junior developer.
Yeah, you need a serious team.
You require a dedicated, highly skilled technical team. You need system administrators, deliverability experts, network engineers to constantly monitor the health of the network.
Because things break. Domains get burned.
Exactly. You have to replace burned domains, manage the IP rotation. You are looking at an absolute minimum of $20,000 a month in specialized salaries just to keep the lights on.
Okay, so we have the domains, the hosting, the 50,000 inboxes, and the team. But what about the actual physical mechanism of sending the emails?
You mean the engine?
Right, the
Yeah.
engine that pushes the data over the internet.
You are referring to the SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol.
Let's talk about SMTP.
That is the digital mail truck that actually transports the data from your server to the recipient's server. If you use a massive commercial relay provider like Amazon SES, simple email service, or SendGrid, to push a volume of 1 million emails a day, they charge by the thousand.
And at that volume, yeah,
you're looking at roughly another $30,000 a month in SMTP transit fees.
30 grand a month for the trucks. And wait, if we are using Amazon SES, aren't we just getting back on the crowded public bus again? Aren't we back on shared IPs?
Ah, you caught that. Exactly. To push this volume properly and protect your $500,000 investment in domains and inboxes, you cannot risk shared IPs.
Too dangerous.
Way too dangerous. You need true bare metal servers acting as your dedicated SMTP relays.
Bare metal servers, so raw hardware.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's assume you need a minimum of 5 heavy-duty enterprise-grade bare metal servers to handle the traffic routing.
What does that run?
On the absolute cheap end, you're paying another $3,750 a month for the hardware.
The layers of fees are just relentless. I am sweating just listening to this.
It's exhausting just tracking it.
It really is a masterclass in how an industry fragments a service to maximize profit extraction. But there is one more cost, isn't there?
Yes, the big one.
The one that the sources often refer to as the silent killer of cold outreach.
Verification.
Verification.
And this is where the extortion truly peaks. This is the fee that bankrupts campaigns before they even begin.
Okay, explain why. Because a lot of people might think, I have a list, why don't I just email them?
Well, if you are sending cold outreach, or honestly, even if you're just managing a massive list of opted-in users that is degraded over time,
Right, data decays.
you absolutely must verify that the email addresses exist before you attempt to send a message to them.
Explain why that is so critical. What happens if I just send an email and the inbox doesn't exist anymore because the person quit their job or deleted their account?
It creates what is called a hard bounce. The receiving server essentially sends a message back saying, return to sender, address unknown.
Okay, so you get a bounce. Doesn't seem like the end of the world.
If you get too many of those hard bounces, the algorithms at Google and Microsoft instantly recognize that you have terrible list hygiene.
Oh.
They conclude that you are a spammer guessing at email addresses and your sender reputation is destroyed.
And if your reputation drops,
If your reputation drops, all 10,000 of those domains you spent $500,000 building get blacklisted globally overnight.
Oh, wow. So protecting your massive infrastructure investment requires scrubbing your list constantly. You have to pay a third-party service to verify the data.
Yes. You have to run every single lead through a scrubber, and verifying 1 million emails a day through a standard reputable verification service costs roughly half a cent per email.
Half a cent, which sounds incredibly cheap.
The industry prices it that way, so it feels like a microtransaction.
Right. Until you do the math at scale.
Do the math.
Half a cent times 1 million is $5,000 a day. Over a 30-day month, that is $150,000.
Which is massive.
But it isn't the whole story, is it? Because in reality, to find 1 million valid emails to send a day, you have to verify significantly more than 1 million leads.
That is the hidden reality of data decay.
Yeah,
You are throwing out a huge percentage of the list.
exactly.
When you calculate the true volume needed to maintain a massive outbound pipeline, factoring in catch-all verifications, role-based emails, spam traps, natural list churn,
Right.
you are often processing 3 to 4 times the final sending volume.
So you're verifying 3 or 4 million a day just to find 1 million clean ones.
Exactly. The daily verification cost for a true, robust 1 million a day enterprise operation easily reaches an astonishing $50,000 a day in API fees to the verification services.
$50,000 a day, which translates to $1.5 million a month.
Just for verification.
Just to ask a server, hey, does this email address still exist before you actually send the email?
Yes. So when you add it all up, the domains, the hosting, the 50,000 inboxes, the salaries, the SMTP relays, the bare metal servers, and those relentless daily verification fees.
What's the final number?
It brings the grand total to $2,032,499
Every single month.
every single month.
Pause 1 twos. Over $2 million. It is an absolute ransom.
It really is.
It is legalized extortion.
And what is vital to understand is why it is designed this way. This is not an accident of technology.
Yeah.
No, it is a deliberate business model.
Yeah.
The SaaS industry realized decades ago that if they offered a single unified service, their margins would be capped.
Right. If one company did it all, they could only charge so much.
So they chopped up the process.
Ah.
They separated the domain registration, the website hosting, the SMTP relay engine, the list verification, the inbox provisioning, and the front-end marketing software.
They deeply fragmented the ecosystem so that everybody gets a piece of the pie.
Exactly. Every vendor along the chain takes their markup, bleeding the entrepreneur dry at every single step of the journey.
It creates an artificial barrier to entry. I mean, how could any normal business, any ambitious startup, any mid-sized marketing agency survive this kind of ransom?
The brutal short answer is they can't.
They are entirely priced out of playing the game at a high competitive level.
They are kept small, intentionally throttled by the very tools that promise to help them grow.
And that structural injustice is exactly why the alternative we are discussing today was built. It was born directly out of frustration with this exact $2 million math problem.
Which brings us to the structural revelation of this deep dive.
Yes, because when you finally realize the true depth of the extortion, when you see how deeply entrenched the fragmented SaaS cartel really is, the alternative feels almost like letting out a breath you didn't know you were holding.
It really does. Let's dive into the architecture of no-limit emails and see how it dismantles this model.
Let's unpack this architecture because it completely flips the script. We are moving from a system of punishment and artificial scarcity to communication without limits.
Absolutely.
But here's the hurdle my brain immediately hits.
Okay, what is it?
If they aren't charging me to rent space on a crowded bus, and they aren't forcing me to buy 10,000 domains and 50,000 inboxes, what are they actually doing?
How does the underlying tech work?
Right. How do they replace a $2 million machine?
So they are providing a completely done-for-you private infrastructure.
Trifit.
Yes. You are no longer using shared servers. You are completely off their bus.
Okay.
The process they have engineered is remarkably elegant, and it's designed for the non-technical user.
Which is key because most marketers aren't server engineers.
Exactly. You, as the business owner, simply purchase a domain name, your central brand identity.
Simple enough.
You hook that domain up to a free Cloudflare account, you verify ownership, and you hand the login details to the No Limit Emails team.
Okay, let's clarify that step. Cloudflare. I know they're a massive internet security and performance company, but why do they need access to a free Cloudflare account?
Because Cloudflare manages what is known as the DNS, the domain name system. Think of DNS as the internet's incredibly complex phone book and traffic routing system. It translates your human-readable domain name into the IP addresses that computers actually use to talk to each other.
Okay, so it's the switchboard.
Exactly. By giving the No Limit team access to your Cloudflare, they can seamlessly and securely configure the complex background records that are absolutely essential for email deliverability.
You are talking about the alphabet soup of email authentication, right?
The alphabet soup, yes.
The SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records.
Those exact three.
Because I think a lot of people see those acronyms and their eyes just glaze over entirely.
Oh, absolutely. It's an incredibly dry technical stuff.
Can we explain the mechanics of what those records actually do? Why are they the difference between hitting the inbox and hitting the spam folder?
Absolutely. Think of email authentication as a high security corporate building.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
First, you have the SPF record, the
Listen,
Sender Policy Framework.
SPF.
The SPF is essentially the master guest list given to the security guard at the front desk. It is a public record attached to your domain that says only these specific IP addresses are officially authorized to send mail on behalf of my company.
So if an email arrives at a Google server claiming to be from me, but the IP address isn't on the SPF guest list.
Google knows it's an imposter. They bounce it.
Okay, so SPF is the guest list. What is the KIM?
DKIM stands for Domain Keys Identified Mail.
That sounds complicated.
It is. If SPS is the guest list, DKIM is a complex, cryptographic, tamper-evident wax seal placed on the envelope of the email itself.
A wax seal.
Right. When your private server sends the email, it locks it with a private key. When Google receives it, they use the public key in your DNS to unlock it.
And if the math matches perfectly,
Google knows that the contents of the email were not intercepted or altered by a malicious third party while traveling across the internet.
that makes perfect sense. It proves it wasn't tampered with. So we have the guest list and we have the tamper-proof seal. Where does DRC fit into this?
DRs, domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance.
Wow, quite the name.
Yeah. It is the final piece of the puzzle. DRRC is the strict instruction manual you give to the receiving bouncer.
Okay.
It tells Google or Microsoft exactly what to do if an email fails the SPF or DCAM tests.
Oh, I see.
You can tell them to monitor it, send it to the spam folder, or outright reject it and delete it.
So it's the enforcement mechanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Setting up all three of these records perfectly is notoriously difficult for a non-technical user. One typo and your mail stops flowing.
But it is mandatory for modern deliverability.
100%. And the No Limit team handles this entire intricate configuration on your behalf via Cloudflare.
Okay, so I buy a domain, I set up a free Cloudflare, and I hand over the keys so they can configure the high security authentication.
Right.
Then what? What is actually powering the engine? Because if I'm not logging into an Aweber or a MailChimp dashboard, what am I looking at?
What happens next is the core of the digital liberation.
Okay.
They install a heavily customized enterprise-grade version of a software called Mautic directly onto a dedicated private server linked entirely to your domain.
Mautic. Mautic. I'm familiar with the name, and I know it has a massive following in the developer community.
Huge following.
But for the listener who hasn't heard of it, what makes Mautic so incredibly special?
Mautic is an astonishingly powerful open-source marketing automation tool.
Open source.
Yes. The best analogy is to think of what WordPress did for website publishing.
Right. Before WordPress, you had to hire a web developer to hard code every single page of your website.
WordPress democratized publishing by providing an open source framework anyone could use.
And Mautic does the exact same thing.
The exact same thing, but for email sending, CRM management, and complex marketing automation.
Because it is open source, the underlying code belongs to the community. You aren't trapped in a proprietary walled garden owned by a massive tech conglomerate that can just change the rules on a whim.
Exactly. The freedom is inherent in the code.
But there has to be a catch.
There is a catch. Running Mautic at scale, handling massive databases, configuring the server cron jobs, managing database bloat, ensuring the server doesn't crash under the weight of a million emails sent.
It's basically a full-time IT job.
It is highly technical and notoriously difficult.
Right.
It requires the sysadmin team we talked about earlier.
Right.
What No Limit Emails has done is take this open source powerhouse, heavily optimize and customize it for massive volume, and install it on a private server dedicated entirely to you.
So the hosting of the server, the complex software installation, the ongoing maintenance, the security patches, all that terrifying back-end server administration.
Completely handled by their team. Zero tech headaches for the user.
That's incredible.
From the user's perspective, you just log into a beautiful, intuitive dashboard hosted right on your own domain.
And because it is powered by Mautic, it is incredibly feature-rich, right?
Oh, absolutely. Complex email capture, drag and drop form building, landing page web publishing, deeply automated drip workflows based on user behavior, intricate lead scoring.
It is all built right into the core system. A complete done-for-you setup.
It's all there.
Okay, wait. I have to push back here. We need to address the elephant in the room.
Great.
Because there is a massive logical gap that I think any smart marketer listening is going to immediately spot.
Go ahead. What's the gap?
Earlier, we spent a long time explaining that to send a million emails safely, you absolutely needed 10,000 separate domains and 50,000 inboxes because Google and Microsoft's algorithms will ruthlessly block any single IP or domain trying to send that much volume.
Right, the snowshoeing.
It's a massive spam red flag. But now you're telling me that No Limit Emails installs the system on one domain using just a handful of dedicated IPs up to 5 on their unlimited plan, right?
That's correct.
How does that not instantly trigger every spam filter on the internet? If Google blocks high volume, won't they instantly block those 5 dedicated IPs the second I hit send on a million emails?
That is the most crucial question of this entire deep dive.
I thought so.
And understanding the answer requires a fundamental shift in how we think about sender reputation.
Okay, shift my thinking.
You are confusing the tactics of snowshoeing with the strategy of dedicated, authenticated sending.
Explain the difference. Why do 10,000 domains work, but 5 dedicated IPs also work?
Let's use a financial analogy. The 10,000 domain strategy is like trying to borrow $1 million by putting on 10,000 different disguises and asking 10,000 different banks for a $100 loan.
Wow, okay.
You are actively trying to hide your true identity and your true volume because you have no established credit. You are tricking the system.
And the system eventually catches on.
Yes, always. But a dedicated IP architecture operates entirely differently. It is like walking into a single bank to ask for $1 million commercial loan, but you are doing it after spending years building a flawless 800 plus credit score.
Ah, so you aren't hiding your identity.
No, you are leaning into it. When you are on a private server with perfectly configured SPF, DKIM, and DMRC records, you are telling Google, this is exactly who I am, and I take absolute responsibility for my traffic.
But you still can't walk into a bank on day one and get that massive loan, right?
No.
You can't just boot up a new no-limit server and blast 1 million emails on a Tuesday.
No, you absolutely cannot. And any company that tells you otherwise is lying.
So what's the process?
This introduces the critical mechanical process of IP warming.
IP warming.
Yes. When you get your private infrastructure, your IP addresses are cold. They have a neutral reputation.
Google has never seen them before.
Right. If you send a massive volume immediately, Google panics and assumes you are a spammer who just bought a new server. They block you instantly.
So how do you warm them up? How do you build that 800 credit score?
It takes patience and mathematical precision. You start incredibly small.
Mm.
On day one, you might only send 50 emails to highly engaged contacts who you know will open them.
Just 50.
Google watches this. They see the emails arrive, they see the users open them, and they note that there are 0 spam complaints.
So you have made a small successful payment on your credit history.
Exactly. Day 2, you send 100 emails. Day 3, 250. Over the course of 30 to 60 days, you slowly, methodically ramp up the volume.
You are mathematically proving to the algorithms that your content is actually desired by the recipients.
Exactly. You build an ironclad sender reputation tied directly to your domain and your dedicated IPs.
And once you reach that point,
Once that reputation is fully established and solidified, the algorithms trust you. At that point, a single perfectly warmed, dedicated IP can easily send hundreds of thousands of legitimate emails a day without triggering a single alarm.
that is fascinating. The structural shift here is taking ownership.
Yes,
You aren't relying on 50,000 disposable Google inboxes to hide your behavior. You are a validated, authenticated enterprise sender using your own private infrastructure to build permanent equity in your domain's reputation.
that's the core of it right there.
And because you own the infrastructure, what happens to all those astronomical fees we calculated earlier? The $350,000 a month for the 50,000 inboxes.
It vanishes completely. You don't need external inboxes because your dedicated server is the sending engine.
My mind is genuinely blown by the simplicity of it. And the SMTP costs, the engine that was costing $30,000 a month with Amazon SES,
Gone. No Limit Emails provides the unlimited SMTP relays as an integrated part of the private server build. It is built in.
wow. And the $120,000 in hosting fees for all those burner
Blood-sucking ecosystem that was designed to bleed you dry is entirely replaced by a single, unified private engine that you have ultimate control over.
That isn't just software, that is digital liberation. You are taking your business off the grid of the sauce cartel. You stop renting power from the city and you build your own nuclear power plant in your backyard.
Great way to put it.
And that brings us directly to the economics of this, because we have to look at the power of predictable pricing. If they are wiping out millions of dollars in external fees and managing complex servers, what are they actually charging for this?
This is where we contrast the constantly shifting, opaque pricing sands of the traditional industry with a truly stable, sustainable model.
Let's do it.
Look again at Salesforce, HubSpot, or Klaviyo. Their pricing models are notoriously difficult to decipher.
Very opaque.
They constantly shift, add complex tiers, and rigorously penalize you for crossing arbitrary subscriber thresholds.
Right. If you get one subscriber over the limit, boom, new bracket.
No Limit Emails operates on a vastly different philosophy, which is anchored in what they call the 6-year promise.
I found this detail completely fascinating in the sources. 6 years.
Yes, their core pricing structure hasn't changed in 6 years. Let's look at the actual numbers for a moment.
Okay.
To send 100,000 emails a month on their managed infrastructure, you are paying a flat $67 a month.
$67. Let's just hold that up against Aweber's $1,000 a month for 100,000 subscribers.
It is quite literally a fraction of the cost.
Unbelievable.
And if you need more scale, for their ultimate package,
Which includes what?
which includes unlimited sends, unlimited system usage, and crucially, an unlimited number of contacts, it is a flat $397 a month.
Pause. 1 twos. Less than $400 a month.
Yep.
Let me just frame this reality for you listening right now. Earlier, we calculated that Klaviyo charges a massive brand $32,000 a month for 10 million leads. No Limit Emails charges $397 a month for unlimited leads.
Any number.
Whether you upload 10,000 leads, 2 million leads, or 20 million leads into your Mautic instance, the price remains exactly the same.
It's a flat fee.
It is a flat fee for the maintenance of the infrastructure, not an escalating tax on your business success.
Exactly. But naturally, a skeptical business owner should ask a question here.
Which is?
How is a flat fee mathematically sustainable for the company long term?
Oh, right. Because server costs go up, inflation happens, hardware degrades. How do they not go bankrupt, offering unlimited capacity for $400 a month?
That is exactly what I was thinking when I read the data.
Hmm.
If everyone else charges $30,000, are they just operating at a massive loss to acquire users?
Yeah, is it a VC trick?
No, it comes down to the fundamental economics of bare metal infrastructure versus cloud markup.
Okay. Break that down.
When a company like Klaviyo or HubSpot hosts your data, they're usually doing it on massive cloud providers like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud.
Right, AWS.
Those cloud providers charge massive markups for bandwidth and storage. So Klaviyo has to pass those variable cloud costs plus their own profit margin on to you.
It's a markup on top of a markup.
Exactly. No Limit Emails operates by provisioning actual physical bare metal servers in massive data centers.
So they own the hardware.
Right. The cost of a bare metal server is relatively fixed. Whether you send one email or a million emails, the electricity and the rack space cost the exact same.
Wow.
By eliminating the AWS cloud markup, they can offer predictable flat rate pricing and still maintain a healthy, sustainable profit margin.
It is the difference between leasing a car by the mile versus just buying the car outright.
Perfect analogy.
But the real savings aren't just in the sending fees, are they? It is in the total eradication of those hidden, fragmented add-ons we discussed earlier.
The add-ons will kill you.
Let's dive deep into the most expensive hidden cost from Section 2, verification.
The silent killer.
The fee that was costing a hypothetical $1.5 million a month for massive enterprise-level cold volume. How does No Limit handle the reality of data decay?
This is huge. They built a catch-all verifier directly into the core system.
It's just built in.
It is included, and it is entirely unlimited.
But I need you to explain how that works technically. Why is it financially feasible for them to include it for free when it costs an absolute fortune everywhere else?
It comes down to where the computing power is happening.
Okay.
External verification services charge you heavily per API call. Every single time you ask them to check an email address, their servers have to do the work.
Right.
They ping the receiving server, process the response, and they charge you a massive markup for utilizing their computing power.
Makes sense.
No Limit Emails integrates the verification script directly into your private dedicated Mautic instance.
So my server is doing the heavy lifting.
Exactly. When you upload a list, your own private server initiates the verification process locally.
Oh, that's clever. How does the script actually verify it locally?
First, it checks the syntax to make sure there are no typos. Then it queries the DNS to check the MX records of the domains to ensure the receiving server actually exists.
Okay.
Finally, it performs a localized SMTP handshake. It knocks on the door of the receiving inbox and asks, "Hey, is anyone home?" without actually leaving a message.
Wow.
Because your own server is doing all this computing, there is no external API fee.
That's brilliant.
You can upload 10 million leads and verify them entirely inside your own system. You aren't paying an external service $50,000 a day because you own the machine doing the verifying.
It's the exact difference between taking your clothes to an expensive premium dry cleaner every single day
Right.
versus just going to the appliance store and buying a top-of-the-line washing machine for your basement.
Yes.
You own the machine. The marginal cost of running a load of laundry becomes pennies and electricity.
That is the perfect way to conceptualize it.
It's so empowering.
And that philosophy of ownership and data sovereignty, it extends to how you manage your data across the board. Think about the nightmare of data migration.
Oh man, don't get me started.
When we analyzed the legacy platforms, there was a glaring, almost offensive comparison with Keep.
Oh yes, the data import extortion. Keep is a massive CRM. They've been around for over 2 decades.
Huge player.
But if you are a successful business and you want to bring your hard-earned e-commerce data into their system, they actually charge you up to $1,000 just for the privilege of importing your contacts.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Just to say hello.
And if your database is complex and you need actual data migration services, they charge $150 an hour.
Which is an astonishing business model when you think about it.
It really is.
They are essentially penalizing you for bringing them your business.
Yeah.
It relies entirely on the lock-in effect.
Because they know migrating CRMs is painful.
Exactly. So they extract maximum value from you during the transition because they know you are unlikely to leave once you are finally embedded.
It's like a restaurant charging you a massive cover fee just to sit down at the table and order their expensive food.
Right.
It sets an incredibly hostile tone for the relationship right from day one.
Now contrast that hostile approach with the architecture of no-limit emails.
How do they handle imports?
Uploading your data, whether it is 10,000 leads, 100,000, or 5 million leads, is entirely free.
What?
It is a standard, unlimited feature of the system.
It goes back to ownership.
It is your server, your private database, and your data. You do not get charged a toll by a landlord to move your own personal property into your own house.
That is so refreshing. And what I found fascinating in the deep dive was that this philosophy of treating the user fairly doesn't stop at the software level.
No, it doesn't.
It extends to how they treat their partners and evangelists.
Right, the affiliates.
Let's analyze the affiliate model, because the contrast here tells you everything you need to know about corporate priorities. The analysis brought up constant contact as a baseline.
Constant contact is a perfect representation of the old guard's venture capital mindset.
How so?
If you, as a loyal user, refer a new paying customer to Constant Contact, they reward you with a one-time payout of $80.
$80.
Thanks for the customer acquisition. Here is your tip. Goodbye.
Which makes sense if you are viewing your customers purely as acquisition metrics.
Right. They want to acquire the customer as cheaply as possible on the front end, pay the affiliate a tiny bounty, and then keep 100% of the long-term lifetime value for their shareholders and venture capital backers.
It's a pure extraction model.
Precisely. No-limit emails use a profoundly different approach, a 30% recurring commission model.
Recurring.
As long as your referral remains a paying member of the platform, you receive 30% of their subscription fee every single month in perpetuity.
So if I refer 10 businesses who use the $397 unlimited tier, I am generating over $1,000 a month in purely passive residual income for as long as they stay.
It's a model explicitly designed to build actual generational residual wealth for their user base.
That's amazing.
Instead of hoarding the lifetime value of the customer to satisfy board members, they're actively sharing the long-term wealth of the platform with the community that actually helps build it.
It fundamentally changes the psychological relationship. You aren't just a user renting a service. You are a financially invested stakeholder in the broader ecosystem.
You're a partner.
But here is where someone listening to this deep dive might be feeling a wave of skepticism.
Sure, skepticism is natural here.
Someone is sitting in their office right now thinking, okay, this open source private server stuff sounds incredible on paper. The economics make sense, but I am not a developer.
Right.
What happens when it inevitably breaks? What happens when I am deep in the Mautic dashboard building a complex drip campaign and the automation just won't fire?
It's terrifying to be alone with tech.
Exactly. With HubSpot or Salesforce, at least I have the security blanket of a massive multinational corporate support team.
That is a highly valid critical concern. When you are moving away from a managed SaaS environment and dealing with your own private infrastructure, the fear of technical isolation is very real.
You worry you were going to be stranded on a digital island.
Exactly. But this is where the analysis reveals what is perhaps the most radical, disruptive aspect of the entire no-limit emails offering.
Okay, tell me.
It is what they call the end of the support ticket.
The end of the support ticket. Let's spend some time on this because live support in the public square is a concept that challenges the core operational dogma of Silicon Valley.
It flips it on its head.
Because let's be real, the standard SaaS model for customer support is not just broken, it is profoundly alienating.
It is deeply alienating, and more importantly, it is intentionally designed to protect the company's time, not to swiftly solve the user's problem.
Let's walk through it. Consider the user journey when something breaks in a standard SaaS platform. Say you are using Woodpecker or ActiveCampaign or HubSpot. What is the actual process?
Well, I know this dance intimately.
We all do. You encounter an error. A campaign won't send. So you click the little help bubble in the bottom right corner of the screen, hoping to talk to a human.
Right.
Instead, you get an AI robot chatbot.
Always.
The chatbot refuses to connect you to a human and instead forces you to read 3 irrelevant, outdated help articles. You click, no, this didn't help 3 times.
If you're lucky.
Finally, it reluctantly allows you to submit a form. A support ticket is generated. You get an automated email with a ticket number, and then you wait.
You wait in the dark. You wait 24 to 48 hours for an asynchronous email response.
Yep.
And when it finally arrives, it is often from a tiered support agent who hasn't actually read your problem.
They just skimmed it.
And they ask a generic question like, have you tried clearing your browser cache?
Oh, the worst.
Meanwhile, your entire marketing campaign, your product launch, your vital revenue stream is completely paralyzed while you play this agonizing game of email ping pong over the course of a week.
It is infuriating. It makes you feel completely powerless over your own business.
The no-limit emails difference completely radically shatters this model.
Also,
They have eliminated the ticket system entirely.
completely gone.
Gone. There was no waiting. There are no automated chatbots deflecting your questions.
Wow.
Instead, they operate a live, continuous 24/7, 365 video conference room.
Pause, 1 2s. You're
Yeah.
kidding.
No. It is a persistent digital space they call the public square, which is hosted continuously at meet.nolimitemails.com.
A 247 live video room. Let me make sure I understand this clearly. You just click a URL link and walk right into a live room with real people.
You just click the link and walk in, you turn on your microphone, and you speak.
That's crazy.
And what is most fascinating here is the profound psychological relief this mechanism provides to a business owner.
I can imagine.
When you are stuck, when the pressure is on, you do not submit a blind ticket to the void and hope for the best. Real, highly trained people respond to you live, face-to-face, in real time.
So practically speaking, how does a fix happen?
Well, you jump into the room, you say, hey guys, I am having trouble configuring this specific lead scoring segment in my campaign.
Right.
The founder, Evan, or one of the dedicated technical members will simply say, all right, share your screen.
Just like that.
You share your screen, they look directly at your specific dashboard, they identify the logic error in your workflow, and they walk you through fixing it instantly.
You're telling me if I am stuck at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning, desperately trying to send a vital promotional campaign for a Monday morning launch,
Yeah.
I can literally hop into a live video room and the actual founder of the company or a senior team member will share my screen and fix the code with me.
Yes.
That is completely unheard of in modern software.
It is an anomaly. It is resolution without delay, without the friction of asynchronous communication, and most importantly, without frustration.
1 click, 1 call, 1 fix.
Exactly. They operate on that philosophy. 1 click, 1 call, 1 fix. You are not dealing with outsourced, underpaid support agents reading from a restrictive script.
Right, you're talking to the architects.
You are dealing directly with the engineers, the architects, and the experts who physically built the system. And they provide limitless time to their users.
Wow.
As highlighted repeatedly in the live sessions we analyzed for this deep dive, there's absolutely no time cap on these support calls.
They won't just kick you off after 10 minutes.
No, they will stay on the video call with you for 3 hours if that is what it takes to ensure your domain is authenticated and your first campaign is successfully launched.
That level of care, I mean, it is almost antithetical to the entire ethos of the modern software industry.
It really is.
Because the modern tech industry wants to automate you away. They view human interaction as a cost center to be minimized.
Exactly.
They want to hide behind AI so they never have to look you in the eye. No Limit Emails deliberately builds a public square so they can look you in the eye every single day.
And by doing so, it creates something far more valuable than just customer support.
What's that?
It creates a genuine community. The public square isn't just an emergency room for broken code.
Yeah.
It is a collaborative gathering place.
People just hang out.
Yes. Users log in just to hang out, share outbound strategies, help each other revive dead email lists, discuss shifting industry trends. It is a thriving, collaborative environment built directly on top of private, secure infrastructure.
It is the perfect synthesis of open source community spirit and enterprise grade power.
It really is beautifully done.
So let's bring this all together. Let's zoom out and look at the brutal honesty of the broader situation we find ourselves in right now. Because the contrast between these two worlds couldn't possibly be sharper.
The facts are grounded and they are stark. As we approach 2026, the traditional email marketing and SaaS industry operates on a highly optimized model of engineered scarcity and fragmented, relentless tolls.
Toll booths everywhere.
Everywhere. They fundamentally want you to pay thousands of dollars every month just to rent a tiny, precarious sliver of space on their shared, inherently risky IP addresses.
Yeah.
They actively want to punish your business for growing by legally tying your operating costs directly to the size of your contact list.
The storage tax.
Right. They want to charge you a premium just to verify the integrity of the data you already own. And to add final insult to injury,
Yeah, oh yeah.
many of them force you to put their corporate watermark at the bottom of your emails.
Basically turning your private business communication into a free billboard for their brand.
Exactly.
They hold your most vital digital asset, your ability to communicate, hostage.
That's the reality of it.
But no limit emails is exactly what it says on the tin. Communication without limits.
Without limits.
It is effortless because the terrifying back-end server tech and the complex authentication is entirely handled for you.
Yep.
It is reliable because it is built on dedicated, authenticated IPs that build lasting equity in your own sender reputation.
Reputation.
It is accessible because you are never more than one click away from the 247 live public square. And it is priced consistently and fairly, $397 a month for absolute, unhindered, unlimited scale.
Predictable. Consistent.
It is fundamentally about taking ownership. It is about pulling your business out of that cramped, expensive rented apartment and building your own fortress on your own digital real estate.
It's your reputation running on your domain entirely under your control.
It is the definition of digital liberation. You stop paying the exorbitant convenience ransom to third-party cartels, and you finally take absolute control of the most vital asset any modern business possesses, its ability to communicate directly, securely, and profitably with its audience.
I couldn't have said it better.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought, something for you to deeply mull over when you are auditing your business expenses and software stack this week.
Take notes on this one.
We have just meticulously exposed the multi-million-dollar extortion hiding in plain sight inside the email marketing industry, and we've shown how open source technology paired with dedicated private infrastructure can complete. If open source technology allows us to own our own high volume communication infrastructure so cheaply, securely, and effectively, what other software subscriptions in your business are secretly charging you a massive convenience ransom for something you could easily control yourself? Where else in your digital life are you renting an overpriced apartment when you should be owning the entire building?
It's a profound question that every single business owner needs to audit if they want to survive the next decade of digital commerce.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take a hard, honest look at your tech stack, take back your ownership, and we will see you on the next one.
You know, email, it's the engine of your business, right? But what if I told you the very system you pay for month after month is actually designed to punish you for succeeding? What if the real story of email marketing is something the industry is trying desperately to keep hidden? So let's get brutally honest here. What are you actually paying? And I don't just mean the number you see on your invoice. What is the true, deep, hidden cost of reaching the audience that you have worked so hard to build? Because here's the simple, brutal truth. The moment you start winning, the second your list starts to grow, you get hit with the penalty. Your success suddenly becomes your biggest expense. It's a trap that keeps so many businesses small. And get this, it's completely by design.
Okay, let's just look at the raw numbers. For a list of 100,000 contacts, a provider like Aweber is going to charge you over $1,000 every single month. Now, look over at No Limit Emails, $67. That's not just a price difference. That's a whole different philosophy.
So the reward for all your hard work is a bill that's more than 15 times higher. It's like climbing a ladder, where every single rung you climb costs you more and more. But here's the real secret. That monthly fee, it's not the real cost. It's not even close.
Yeah, that monthly fee you pay, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The real cost, the part the big email providers are praying you never look into, is hidden deep, deep underwater. It's the massive, ridiculously expensive infrastructure you're forced to build yourself just to use the service you're already paying so much for.
I mean, just imagine for a second, you want to scale, like really scale. You want to reach 1 million people in a single day. What kind of machinery would you actually have to build and pay for, piece by painful piece?
Well, first off, you'd need about 10,000 domains. Then, just to warm them up, you need at least 50,000 inboxes from Google or Outlook, each one with its own monthly fee. You'd need hosting for all those domains. You'd have to pay for daily email verification services. And after all of that, you'd still be paying SMTP fees for every single email you send. The complexity, it's just staggering.
And when you add all of that up, this is what you get. Over $2 million a month. That is the true, honest price of sending 1 million emails a day in this system. It's a number so huge it feels fake, but it is the cold, hard reality of the infrastructure they force you to build. And that's when you realize the truth. You're shackled. You're just renting a tiny space in a system where the landlords make all the rules. And their rules say you can only grow as much as you can afford to pay them. This system was never, ever designed for you to be free.
But what if you could own the house instead of just renting a room? And that right there is the solution. Private, dedicated infrastructure. A system built from the ground up exclusively for you on your domain. It's not shared, it's not rented, it's your own isolated, secure environment where you are in complete control.
And this changes everything, especially your reputation. See, in the old shared model, your deliverability is at the mercy of thousands of other users on the same IP addresses. If one of them is a spammer, your emails get penalized. With a dedicated system, your reputation is yours alone. It's built by your actions and your actions only.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to what a member named Barbara had to say. The pricing model is transparent, fair, a huge relief for growing businesses. Someone finally cares enough. It's that feeling, right? That feeling of relief, that someone is finally actually on your side.
And that care isn't just words, it's proven with action. For 6 straight years, while every other provider has hiked their prices up again and again, the price for No Limit emails hasn't changed. Not 1 cent. Not once. It's a philosophy built on stability and partnership, not on how much they can extract from you.
So let's put it all together. It's your domain, it's your brand. You get one stable, predictable price, and there are no contact limits to punish your growth. The hosting, the updates, all the technical maintenance, it's all handled for you. And if you need help, you get a live human being right then and there. This is your infrastructure, just without the $2 million a month headache. So I want to leave you with this one question. Forget the penalties for a minute. Forget all the hidden fees and the technical nightmares. Just imagine your communication had no limits. Truly, absolutely none. What would you build? What could you achieve?
Okay, so let's dive into a story that doesn't start in some polished, fancy boardroom. Nope, it starts in the messy 24/7 reality of a live chat room. This is a story of how a whole community of entrepreneurs who were just sick and tired of a crippling expense decided, you know what, we're going to build our own solution. And it all kicks off with something as simple as this. Hey, all. Think of this as the digital version of walking into a shared workshop. This isn't some curated social media group, right? It's a live, constantly running feed where people are sharing wins, troubleshooting failures, and just checking in. The place is always buzzing. And this is where it gets real. This is ground zero for problem solving. A message like Zapier is going down is an all hands on deck moment. It's where news breaks among peers and urgent tech problems get thrown out and then tackled together, right then and there. You just don't get that kind of immediacy on the more polished platforms. I love this one. It just perfectly captures what this whole environment is about. These are not faceless users hiding behind some avatar. They're real people, juggling real life, making coffee, letting the dog out, all while building their businesses right alongside each other. So yeah, it's raw, it's totally unpolished, and it's 100% authentic. And you know what? That's not a bug, that's a feature. The entire project is grounded in this kind of realness, and that's exactly the point. It's all about solving real problems for real people. So what was the one huge problem that brought all these people together in the first place? Well, it's kind of like a hidden tax on success, a single absolutely staggering cost that actually punishes online businesses for growing. Let's just put ourselves in their shoes for a second. Imagine you've worked for years, you've built this massive audience, a list of 1 million people. Awesome. Now you want to email them. So you go to one of the big traditional email service providers, an ESP like Aweber. What do you think happens next? Well, this isn't a hypothetical. A member of this very community went to Aweber's support with their list, and this is the exact quote they got back. I mean, just look at these numbers. We're not talking about a small fee here. We're talking thousands upon thousands of dollars every single month. And annually, that's almost $100,000 a year. Let that sink in for a second. Nearly 6 figures just for the privilege of talking to the audience that you built. For a lot of people, that's not just expensive, it's a wall. It's a barrier that makes real growth pretty much impossible. So faced with that kind of insane roadblock, the community's founder, Evan, he decided to just reject that entire model. He came up with a totally different philosophy, one that really challenges the conventional wisdom about how you're supposed to grow a business. And this quote right here is the absolute core of it. Evan's argument is that paying for ads is like renting your audience. You're stuck in this financial drain you can never really escape. But email, as he says, is the most cost-effective, proven way to actually own your traffic. And his solution? Cold email. Now, we're not talking about spam. We're talking about a strategic tool. It's about prospecting, reaching out to people you otherwise couldn't without, breaking the bank on ads or paying those crazy monthly fees to the traditional guys. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, right? But the real question is, does this whole philosophy actually work in the real world? It's one thing to have an idea, but it's another thing to prove it. So let's look at the raw data, taken directly from inside the system they built. So in a live case study, Evan sent out just over 2,000 emails. And here's the really crucial part. These emails went to an ice-cold list. We're talking about people who had never heard of him, never seen his domain, ever. The result? It was pretty astonishing. Out of 2,190 unsolicited emails sent to complete strangers, 0 people unsubscribed. Now, for anyone who's ever done marketing, this is almost unbelievable. It means the message was so well-targeted, so valuable, that nobody saw it as spam. That's like the holy grail of cold outreach. But hey, maybe that was just a fluke, right? A lucky one-off? To prove it wasn't, he did it again. This time, he sent over 3,000 emails to an even bigger, totally different cold list. Again, people with 0 prior contact. And the result was exactly the same. 0 unsubscribes. This proved it. The first test wasn't just a fluke. It was a repeatable system. It showed a way to reach thousands of new people without alienating them, confirming the entire concept was totally sound. So this all brings us to the final showdown. How does this system, born from a humble chat room, actually stack up against that $95,000 a year model we saw earlier? Well, the contrast couldn't be more clear. On one side, you've got the traditional path. Massive costs and a ton of strict rules that can literally get your account shut down overnight. And on the other side, you have radical freedom, huge savings, and the ability to use cold lists and actually control your own destiny.
This quote from Evan just sums it all up, doesn't it? It's really about empowerment. It's about giving control back to the business owner without that constant fear of being deplatformed just for trying to grow your business.
But look, this story isn't just about software or savings or email tactics. To really get it, to really understand what's going on here, we have to circle all the way back to where we started, that community that built the whole thing. And this right here is what truly makes it different. This isn't some faceless corporation. It's a platform that was built and is sustained by the mutual support and the passion of its members, the very same people who keep this entire project alive and kicking.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, a question really, about where true innovation actually comes from. It really suggests that maybe, just maybe,
Woke up with an idea burning in my chest. Not just to chase the money, but to build something blessed. A product, a service, a spark in the night. Turning dreams into value, making wrong things right. From the factory floor to the code that runs clean, every hand that touches it lives the same dream. We don't just sell widgets, close another deal. We're lifting the world up on wheels. It's not greed in disguise, it's a beautiful trade. Value for value, the promise we made. Business means serving others and making profits. Business means profits to improve the lives on earth. Business means you are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. Hey, you are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. The farmer who plants, the coder who dreams, the driver who delivers, the designer who gleams. Every link in the chain is a hero unseen, turning raw inspiration to the fuel in between. When a mother feeds a child with the bread that we bake, when a student learns faster from the tools that we make, that's the quiet revolution decoupled every day. Profits in our pocket, but purpose leading the way. It's not taking from others, it's multiplying the good, creating abundance like nobody thought we could. Business means serving others and making profits. Business means profits to improve the lives on earth. Business means you are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. Yeah, you are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. Business means serving others and making profits. Business means profits to improve the lives on earth. Business means you are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. Oh, you are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. Business means serving and making profits. Business means lifting every life on this earth. Business means we are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. We are the reason to create, to distribute, to serve. So go build it, go serve it, go profit with purpose. The world is waiting for what only you can give.
Imagine climbing up, like to the very top of a tree.
Okay.
You look down and you see hundreds of pieces of rotting, fallen fruit on the ground.
Just a total mess.
Right. And you look at this apparent waste, this, completely inefficient mess, and you realize it's actually the exact blueprint needed to outperform the biggest tech monopolies on Earth.
I mean, the contrast there is pretty jarring.
It's wild, but we're talking about taking the hyper modern, deeply technical world of open source software and email marketing
Yeah.
and completely restructuring it based on the ancient, vast wisdom of Greek philosophy and, well, the boundless mechanics of nature.
That contrast is precisely why this framework is so disruptive, honestly.
Sure.
Because the modern tech industry, it operates on this binary of artificial.
So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are working through a phenomenal stack of source material today.
It's a really unique blend.
It really is. It's part personal memoir, part philosopher of no limit emails.
Right.
The mission of this deep dive today, and he specifically states this in the text, is to tell his true story to humanity.
And we're dissecting a really comprehensive worldview here to do that.
Right, because it's not just a bio.
No, not at all.
Oh,
I mean, even just looking at his name gives you the foundation.
bringing good news. I love that.
Right. The prefix "you" means good, and Angelos means messenger. And he doesn't just view this as like a neat trivia fact about his name.
Yeah.
He views this as a prophecy, a profound, lifelong duty.
Wow.
He feels this structural obligation.
To you listening right now.
Yeah, pay attention to this part.
Whether you're a systems architect or maybe a digital marketer fighting that daily deliverability grind, or, just someone searching for a more generous, sustainable way to build a career.
This is going to challenge your foundational assumptions.
100%. And we have to start at the physical origin of this philosophy, right? Because this architecture, it wasn't conceptualized in some fancy Silicon Valley incubator.
No, far from it.
It was born in the dirt of a fruit farm in Greece.
Yeah, to understand the software he eventually built, you first have to understand the soil he came from.
Exactly.
Because Evangelos, he was immersed in these brutal, honest realities of agricultural labor from an incredibly young age.
Like really young.
Yeah. The memoir details how, by the time he was 8 or 9 years old, he was already fully integrated into the harvesting process.
Just a little kid doing manual labor.
Right. And by 11 or 12, he was operating heavy machinery,
Driving tractors. Right?
driving tractors, managing a roadside farm shop.
And that roadside shop is such a critical detail here.
It really is.
Because it was this little shack, right? Positioned on the only road leading in and out of a really popular tourist beach.
Yeah.
So he's not just learning farming, he's experiencing this unfiltered stream of global commerce.
Every single day.
Right. He's interacting with this endless rotation of tourists. They're speaking different languages, representing the vast complexity of the world outside his tiny local geography.
He's basically learning the universal language of human interaction before he even understands the actual words they're speaking.
That's a great way to put it. And that sets the stage for the pivotal moment.
The tangerine tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
The foundational light bulb moment of his entire methodology. He's just 13 years old.
Just there.
And he's out in the groves climbing a tangerine tree to harvest the fruit.
Right. And he describes reaching the upper canopy and just taking a moment to observe.
Yeah.
He looks up and he sees branches that are so productive, so wildly generous that they are physically snapping under the sheer weight of the tangerines.
Which is incredible. But then he looks down.
Yeah.
And on the ground below him, he sees dozens, maybe hundreds of fallen tangerines.
Just scattered everywhere.
Now, if you take an average MBA student, right, or a modern tech executive,
Yeah.
and you stick them up in that tree,
They look at the ground and they see a failure of logistics.
exactly, they see lost profit margins.
They see gross inefficiency that just has to be optimized out of existence immediately.
Right, because the modern business mind is relentlessly conditioned to view uncaptured value as waste.
Totally. But Evangelos interpreted the mechanics of that scene completely differently.
How so?
He realized the fallen fruit wasn't a bug in the biological system.
Okay.
It was the defining feature. It was pure, unadulterated generosity functioning without any discrimination.
Right, the tree isn't judging the dirt.
Exactly. The tree does not calculate the ROI of dropping a piece of fruit. It just produces so much excess that everyone and everything in the vicinity benefits.
Like the insects.
The fallen tangerines feed the insects. They sustain the local wildlife.
And crucially, they decompose, right?
Yes, they decompose to nourish the exact same soil and water tables that allow the tree to exist in the first place.
Okay, let's unpack this because it's like the tree is the ultimate open source system.
That's a perfect analogy.
It's not hoarding its output to maximize its own trunk size.
No,
It's deliberately overproducing to sustain an infinite loop of abundance.
and this realization became what he officially codified as the business principle of nature.
Which is so fascinating.
He concluded that living nature contains zero lack, none.
Right.
Nature operates in a state of total aggressive abundance.
And then we are the problem.
Yeah, humans are the ones who invent artificial scarcity for, as he calls them, phony and silly reasons.
I love that quote. He summarizes this beautifully in his writings. He says, nature has no tongue to speak, but has a body that talks.
That phrase, a body that talks, is profound.
It really is.
It implies that if you rigorously observe the physical mechanics of the natural world, it provides a flawless operational blueprint for business.
And he actually mapped this blueprint out, didn't he?
He did. He mapped it into 5 unlimited immutable functions of nature.
The CTRBR framework.
Exactly.
Okay, break down the mechanics of that framework for us. What does the C stand for?
The first pillar is C for consistency.
Consistency.
Right. Nature does not operate on motivation. It operates on momentum.
Ah, that's good.
The seasons cycle, the tides shift, the sap rises, regardless of external opinions. It just happens consistently.
Makes total sense. What about the P?
The P stands for persistency.
Okay.
This is the sheer unstoppable force of, say, a root system slowly fracturing solid bedrock over decades.
Right. Or like a weed growing through concrete.
Exactly. Or a dormant seed germinating immediately after a devastating forest fire. Nature aggressively finds a way to thrive despite catastrophic friction.
Wow. Okay, so we have consistency and persistency. What's the third one?
The third is R for reproduction.
Okay, self-explanatory, but how does it apply here?
It's the biological imperative to multiply and share the genetic code. A single tree creates tens of thousands of seeds, fully knowing most won't take.
Right, a lot of them just die.
Yeah, but it does it simply to ensure the continuation of the system. It is the absolute rejection of hoarding.
It just gives and gives, which leads right into the D, I imagine.
Exactly, which perfectly fuels the D, distribution.
Distribution.
The tree does not hoard its seeds at its base. It actively utilizes external networks.
Like the wind.
The wind currents, the digestive tracts of birds, the fur of passing animals. It uses all these things to distribute its value across the widest possible geographic area.
It shares its abundance outward to colonize new spaces.
Exactly. And finally, the last R is recycle.
Recycle.
In this framework, nothing is ever truly deleted.
Right.
The fallen fruit, the dead wood, the leaves.
It all breaks down.
Yes, at a molecular level.
Yeah.
To become the nutrient baseline for the next generation of growth.
So consistency, persistency, reproduction, distribution, recycle.
That's the CPRDR framework.
If we apply this directly to modern commerce,
Yeah.
if a company actually operates like a tangerine tree, the primary directive fundamentally shifts.
Completely.
The goal is no longer to just extract maximum profit for the shareholders,
Right.
the trunk of the tree.
Right. You're not just trying to build the biggest trunk.
The goal is to overproduce so much overwhelming value that the customers, the employees, the surrounding community, and even the competitors benefit from the ecosystem you create.
You shift from a zero-sum game of extraction to a positive-sum game of immense generation.
It's a beautiful theory.
It is.
But, a philosophy formulated in an orchard is pretty much useless if it shatters upon contact with the real world.
Yeah, theory only gets you so far.
Right. To see if the tangerine tree principle actually held weight, Evangelos had to subject it to an extreme stress test.
He really did.
He had to see if the laws of biological abundance applied to the rigid structures of human society.
Which triggers one of the most intense sequences in the source material.
It's wild. He's 15 years old at this point.
Just 15.
Most 15-year-olds are entirely dependent on their family structure. They're in high school.
Right.
Evangelos casually kisses his mother goodbye, informs her he's going to visit a friend, and explicitly instructs her, do not look for me.
Just like that.
Just like that. He walks to the harbor, boards a ferry, and completely, entirely abandons Greece for Italy.
And he arrives with effectively nothing.
Nothing.
A handful of drachmas, a t-shirt, shorts, and this tiny little bag.
He possesses zero network in Italy.
None.
He speaks zero Italian.
He's a ghost in a foreign machine.
Exactly. But the contents of that tiny bag are the key to understanding his subsequent trajectory.
Yeah, because he packed exactly 2 books.
Oh, 2 books. Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics and Marcus Aurelius's Meditations.
We really have to examine the psychological weight of that decision.
Yeah, let's talk about
A runaway teenager does not typically pack dense Hellenistic philosophy.
Right. They pack a comic book or a Walkman.
Exactly. He packed the absolute foundational texts of Western ethics and Stoic resilience.
I am fascinated by how those specific texts map to his survival strategy. Because we're talking about the private wartime diary of a Roman emperor
Aurelius.
and Aristotle's lecture notes on human flourishing. How does a 15-year-old operationalize that on the streets of Italy?
By internalizing the core thesis of both works.
Okay, break that down.
Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics argues that eudaimonia, which is true human flourishing, he argues that this is achieved only through virtuous action.
Right.
It's not about what you acquire. It's about the excellence of your conduct.
Okay, and Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius's Meditations provides the tactical handbook for that conduct.
The how-to guide.
Exactly. Focus exclusively on your own actions, disregard external conditions you cannot control, and actively serve the common good, regardless of how the world treats you.
Wow.
Evangelos used these texts to actively program his mental firmware.
He was preparing to interface with a hostile environment using virtue and service as his primary tools.
That's exactly what he did.
So he is in Italy.
Yeah.
No money, no language. He establishes this brutal personal rule. He says, I have to make my day pay in the first half of the day.
Which is intense for a kid.
Very. But he cannot walk into a shop and ask for an application.
No.
He cannot communicate his need.
So he bypasses verbal communication entirely.
He relies on the physical language of nature.
Yes. He understands that undeniable value transcends linguistics.
I love this story so much. Tell the bakery story.
Okay, so he targets this local bakery owned by an older businessman.
Right.
He does not ask for a handout. He doesn't attempt to pantomime a request for employment.
He doesn't point at his mouth or rub his stomach.
No.
Yeah.
He simply wakes up at 5 a.m., locates a broom, and begins sweeping the street in front of the bakery.
Just starts sweeping.
And he doesn't stop there. He sweeps the storefront of the shoe shop across the street as well.
Incredible.
He executes this manual labor in the dark every single morning before the owners even arrive.
And he maintains this for what, like 4 or 5 weeks?
4 or 5 weeks, yeah.
He is operating on the pure assumption that if he introduces unprompted value into the ecosystem,
The ecosystem will eventually metabolize it and respond.
the exact,
It is the exact mechanical replication of the tangerine tree dropping its fruit.
just freely dropping value.
He's distributing his labor, his
Mhm.
value, without demanding an immediate contractual transaction.
Relying on the consistency and persistency of that CPRDR framework.
Exactly.
Now, I want to aggressively challenge the specific methodology for a second.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because we operate in a modern culture that is hyper-fixated on boundaries and compensation.
Oh, definitely.
You constantly hear, know your worth, never work for free.
Right, right.
The current consensus would view a kid sweeping a street for a month without an agreement as deeply foolish.
Practically inviting exploitation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile his prove your value first approach with the very real danger of just being used for free labor?
It's a fair question.
Did he just get incredibly lucky that this specific baker wasn't a sociopath who would just let him sweep forever?
Well, the distinction lies entirely in the Stoic concept of locus of control.
Okay, explain that.
He was not submitting himself to a corporate entity to be exploited. He was executing a calculated demonstration of his own character.
His own character.
Right. Remember Marcus Aurelius? You control your actions, not the outcome.
Okay,
Evangelos wasn't sweeping to force the baker to hire him.
he wasn't.
No, he was sweeping because it was a virtuous, valuable action that improved the immediate environment.
I see.
If the baker ignored him, Evangelos still cultivated his own discipline and improved the street.
He still won internally.
Exactly. He used his labor not as a cheap commodity, but as an undeniable broadcast of his work ethic.
Wow.
He answered the critical question of, are you reliable? Long before the baker even realized he was asking it.
And the outcome of this strategy is just stunning.
It really is.
After roughly a month of this silent daily labor, the baker finally intercepts him one morning.
Yeah.
The man simply gestures for the 15-year-old to follow him inside
He walks into the ovens.
and begins feeding him warm, fresh bread and cakes.
It's just a profound moment of cross-cultural recognition.
It is. The baker recognized the sustained grit.
But the communication barrier remains intact.
Right. They still can't speak to each other.
They're sitting there sharing a meal, entirely unable to speak,
So Evangelos utilizes the materials at hand.
which is brilliant.
He gathers a small pile of flour on the bakery table, smooths it out, and traces the word grease into the dust to explain his origin.
I mean, that's just so resourceful.
The baker laughs, nods, and immediately points to some heavy boxes and massive bags of raw flour, gesturing for Evangelos to start moving them.
It's an immediate unspoken job offer.
Yes, and Evangelos clearly understanding that while he leads with free value, he must also establish a sustainable architecture for himself.
Right. He has to survive.
He smooths over the flour again,
Yeah.
and he traces a new message. 6-day work, 1 off.
6 days of labor, 1 day of rest.
A flawless contract negotiation conducted entirely in spilled flour.
It's amazing. And the baker accepts the terms.
He does. Evangelos secures employment and is given a small storage room above the bakery to live in.
And he remains in Italy for 9 months.
9 months.
This chapter is so vital because it transitioned his philosophy from a theory to an empirical law.
It proved it worked.
The natural principles of unrestricted value creation, fortified by Stoic resilience, successfully sustained him in a zero-trust environment.
Which gives him the confidence for his next move. He eventually returns to the family farm in Greece, but the perimeter of his world has permanently expanded.
He's seen what's out there.
Right. And he develops this intense fascination with the English language.
Yeah.
So at age 19, he executes an even more drastic leap.
Another one.
He purchases a ticket to England.
Wow.
He lands at Heathrow Airport with exactly 20 pounds to his name,
20 pounds.
his 2 philosophical texts, and once again, 0 network and 0 grasp of the local language.
It's like he's hitting the reset button on hard mode.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He walks up to an airport kiosk, grabs a generic tourist map of the UK, and physically follows the largest flow of pedestrians out the sliding doors.
I mean, the psychological fortitude required to step into the crushing machinery of London with 20 pounds is staggering.
It's unimaginable for most people.
And this wasn't a brief excursion.
No.
This initiated a relentless 25-year chapter of his life in the UK.
25 years.
He refers to this era in his writings as decades of grit termination.
Ooh, termination.
Yeah, it's a brilliant portmanteau of grit and determination.
Oh, I see.
And he does not romanticize it. He explicitly acknowledges the immense pain, the suffering, the grueling physical and mental toll.
But also the eventual massive business victories.
Yes.
We really have to unpack the mechanics of how someone survives 25 years of that kind of friction.
It's a lot of friction.
The sheer daily grind of ascending from absolute zero in a foreign society. How did he prevent total psychological collapse?
He anchored his entire existence to a highly specific, repeatable algorithm.
An algorithm.
Yeah, like a daily program. Every single morning, without fail, he recited a personal mantra.
What was the mantra?
He would ask himself, how many can I help today to be a best servant to serve others? without discrimination and judgment.
Without discrimination and judgment. That is the exact operating system of the tangerine tree.
It is.
The tree doesn't run a background check on the soil before dropping a tangerine.
No, it doesn't.
It serves the immediate ecosystem without deciding who is inherently worthy of the harvest.
Precisely. By forcing his primary cognitive objective to be service rather than extraction,
Right.
he inadvertently made himself the most valuable node in any network he entered.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Think about the mechanics of human behavior, right?
Yeah.
When you encounter someone whose default state is actively solving your problems without immediately demanding a toll,
You pull them closer.
exactly, you pull them closer to the center of your operations. Opportunities, resources, and trust naturally flow toward the point of maximum utility.
But, I'm struggling to bridge a massive gap in the timeline here.
Okay, what gap?
We're tracking a man who sweeps bakeries and survives on grit and service.
Right.
Yet, the culmination of this source material is a founder architecting highly complex open source digital infrastructure.
Yeah. No limit emails.
Exactly. How did he cross that extreme technical chasm?
It's a great question.
Because sweeping floors does not teach you how to deploy Linux servers or configure SMTP relays.
No, it certainly doesn't.
So how did that happen?
It comes down to how he applied that core mantra to increasingly complex systems over those 25 years.
Okay.
He didn't just stay at the bottom. He used his service-first approach to embed himself into various businesses.
Oh,
He eventually studied marketing formally in college.
got it.
And he learned that business scaling requires systematic problem solving.
Sure.
So as he moved from physical labor to management and eventually to digital marketing,
He applied the same mindset.
exactly, the exact same persistent analytical mindset to software that he applied to surviving Heathrow.
He taught himself.
He taught himself the digital architecture because it was the most efficient lever available to scale his ability to serve others.
That's
He
fascinating.
realized that code and servers are just the modern equivalent of the farm's tractors.
Tools to distribute the harvest faster.
Exactly.
And he never stopped resetting his comfort zone, right? Even in his 40s, after establishing a massive foundation in the UK, he unplugs and does it again.
Yeah, he relocates to Portugal.
Again, lacking the language and a local network
Right.
where he has successfully operated for the last 18 years.
He is a master at parachuting into opaque environments and using the universal protocol of service to compile a new life.
But this is where the narrative trajectory shifts violently.
It does.
Because as he was mastering physical environments and studying the mechanics of global marketing,
Yeah.
his deeply ingrained natural philosophy collided head-on with the cold, restrictive architecture of the modern digital economy.
This is the turning point.
Evangelos discovers the power of digital marketing, specifically email marketing.
Right.
He gravitates toward email because, unlike the fleeting algorithms of social media, the inbox is intensely personal.
It is. It's a direct line.
It allows a direct, unfiltered, one-to-one relationship with another human being.
You're not renting space on someone else's feed.
Exactly. You can deliver value, share stories, and offer solutions without a platform dictating your reach.
Naturally, he begins building subscriber lists and utilizing standard email service providers.
What the tech industry calls ESPs.
Right. ESPs.
And this is where he smashes into a monolithic wall of friction.
Oh, yeah.
He discovers that the architecture of the digital world operates in direct opposition to the tangerine tree.
Fundamental opposition.
The digital economy is basically engineered around artificial scarcity.
Yes.
The source material outlines a genuinely nightmarish logistical scenario.
It sounds awful.
At the peak of his friction, Evangelos was actively managing nearly 100 different ESP accounts.
Just to handle his various lists and client operations.
Wait, pause.
Yeah.
Managing 100 different email platforms simultaneously sounds like administrative self-sabotage.
It's chaos.
I can barely maintain 0 inbox on one account.
Right.
Why on earth would any competent marketer fracture their infrastructure across 100 different providers?
It seems counterintuitive.
Why not just consolidate everything into one of the massive, famous platforms like MailChimp or SendGrid?
Well, because consolidating into those massive platforms is exactly what triggered the nightmare in the first place.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Those platforms are built on what Evangelos identified as highly unstable adversarial foundations.
Adversarial.
Let's dissect the actual technical architecture of a standard commercial ESP to understand why.
Okay, let's do it.
First, they operate as punitive gatekeepers regarding growth.
Meaning what?
Traditional ESPs charge you on a sliding scale based on the size of your audience.
Right.
As your list grows, your monthly overhead exponentially increases.
So they literally penalize you for succeeding.
Exactly, they penalize growth.
That is insane when viewed through his framework.
It is.
Imagine if the soil sensed the tangerine tree growing a new branch
Yeah.
and immediately increased the rent the tree had to pay in water and nutrients.
The tree would intentionally stunt its own growth to survive.
It's a system designed to punish expansion.
Exactly. And the friction goes much deeper than just pricing.
What else?
Evangelos experienced the arbitrary authoritarian control these platforms wield.
Like getting banned.
Yeah, they would suddenly shutter his accounts with zero warning or recourse.
Just gone.
They dictated strict, opaque terms of service regarding what industries he was allowed to promote.
Which is frustrating.
And worst of all, they effectively held his most valuable corporate asset, his subscriber list, hostage.
How so?
Because these platforms control the sending IP addresses and the delivery infrastructure.
Oh, right.
If you try to leave or if they ban you, you lose your ability to communicate with the audience you spent years building.
So picture the cognitive dissonance here.
Yeah.
We have a man whose entire psychological framework, his very survival mechanism, is based on the unlimited, generous, frictionless abundance of the natural world.
Right.
And he is trapped inside a digital cage built entirely on arbitrary limits, sudden fee hikes, and total control by a third-party landlord.
It was an intolerable environment for him.
It had to be.
He explicitly states that he refuses to build or participate in systems unless they mutually benefit himself and the broader community.
Which these platforms don't do.
No. The severe pain, the financial extortion, and the sheer technical inefficiency of fighting these ESPs pushed him to a critical inflection point.
He reached his limit.
He didn't just complain on a forum, though.
No.
He reverted to his baseline nature. He decided to engineer a permanent solution.
He set out to architect a digital ecosystem that actually functioned like the tangerine tree.
And that architecture is no-limit emails.
Oh, there it is.
He defines it in the text as a blue-chip, self-funded freedom venture project.
Freedom Venture Project.
It is structured as a profit-sharing organization.
Okay.
And its singular objective is to obliterate the artificial limits placed on marketers, empowering humanity with enterprise-grade tools they are normally priced out of.
Let's deeply analyze how he translated biological abundance into software architecture.
This is the best part.
Because every technical decision he made is a direct reflection of his philosophy.
Let's look at the foundation first.
Okay.
Instead of coding a proprietary closed-loop software system where he just becomes the new gatekeeper.
Right, replacing one boss with another.
Exactly. He built no-limit emails on top of open-source frameworks.
Open source.
Specifically, he utilized Mautic for the core email application logic
Okay.
and Jitsi Meet for integrated live streaming.
Let's make sure we are crystal clear on the mechanics of why open source is the silver bullet here.
It's important.
For the marketers listening who know how to build a campaign, but maybe don't know how a server routes a packet.
Right. The non-technical folks.
Why does utilizing Mautic fundamentally break the chains of traditional ESPs?
It comes down to separating the application layer from the delivery layer.
Break that down.
When you use a traditional platform, the software you use to design the email and the servers that physically deliver the email to Gmail or Outlook are permanently fused together by the provider.
They're a package deal.
Right. You rent the whole package, and they control the keys. Open source Mautic is just the application logic, the brain.
The brain.
Anyone can download it for free.
Right.
But running it effectively requires massive technical overhead.
Right.
You have to configure servers, manage databases,
Which most people can't do.
and crucially, you have to build and maintain the SMTP relays.
The actual pipes that send the emails.
Yes, while fiercely protecting your IP reputation. Most marketers cannot do this.
It's too technical.
So Evangelos took the open source brain, which belongs to everyone,
Right.
and he built the immensely complex private server infrastructure to house it.
He is doing the heavy lifting so the user doesn't have to.
Exactly. No limit emails, physically builds, hosts, and maintains dedicated private servers for their clients.
And the pricing model is where the scarcity framework completely collapses.
It really does.
They offer infrastructure starting at $67 a month to send up to 1 million emails
1 million.
with unlimited subscriber caps.
This completely shatters the legacy model.
It's unbelievable.
By removing the subscriber tax and the volume limits, He is directly implementing the R&D of his natural framework.
Reproduction and distribution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is handing marketers the infinite capacity to distribute their value.
You are no longer financially punished for successfully growing your audience.
Not at all.
The analogy shifts completely.
How so?
Traditional ESPs are like renting a delivery truck, where the dealership charges you an exorbitant fee for every single mile you drive.
Yeah.
And if they decide they don't like the cargo you're carrying, they remotely kill the engine on the highway.
That's a great analogy.
No limit emails is like giving you the factory schematics to build your own fleet of trucks.
Right.
And pouring the private concrete highways for you to drive them on. You own the infrastructure.
The ownership aspect is vital, particularly regarding deliverability.
Let's talk about deliverability.
Standard platforms put small businesses into shared IP pools.
Shared IT pools.
This means your emails are being sent from the exact same digital address as hundreds of other businesses.
Which sounds risky.
It is. If one of those businesses starts blasting spam, the IP address gets blacklisted by Google and Yahoo.
And then what?
Your perfectly legitimate emails get thrown into the junk folder. Your reputation is held hostage by strangers.
That's terrifying. How does no limit email solve the shared IP trap?
By completely bypassing it. They provision dedicated IP addresses for their users.
Dedicated IPs.
Evangelos engineered a proprietary email relay network to route messages outside of the standard, easily congested third-party hosting lanes.
So you have your own lane.
By giving a user a dedicated IP, he's giving them total sovereignty over their own sender reputation.
Wow.
You send good mail, you get pristine inbox placement, and no one else can damage it.
And he didn't stop at email.
No, he didn't.
He also integrated Jitsi Meet to handle unlimited live streaming and webinars directly within the platform.
Yeah, that's a huge feature.
But the technical spec here is fascinating.
Let's hear it.
It utilizes a web RTC and RTP secure connect socket.
Okay, what does that actually mean for the user?
The critical outcome of this specific protocol is that it guarantees zero user data collection and zero tracking.
Zero tracking.
None. In an era where every major tech conglomerate is aggressively harvesting, packaging, and selling our biometric and behavioral data,
Right, they all do it.
he intentionally engineered a communication tool that possesses absolute privacy.
It traces directly back to his teenage years reading the Nicomachean Ethics.
Yes.
He is literally translating classical virtue into software architecture.
Exactly.
Extracting user data without profound, transparent consent is a violation of the ethical baseline.
It's unvirtuous.
Therefore, he simply coded a system that is incapable of doing it. The tool serves the user. It does not spy on them.
Consider who actually benefits from an abundant architecture like this.
The downstream impact is massive.
Right.
It radically alters the unit economics for small and medium businesses.
SMBs.
SMBs operate on razor-thin margins.
You really do.
When they achieve a viral moment or steady growth, the sudden massive invoice from a traditional ESP can actually cripple their cash flow.
It can wipe out their profit.
No Limit Emails provides them with cost-effective, infinite scaling. Their infrastructure costs become flat, predictable, and remarkably low.
Think about e-commerce operations.
Oh, yeah.
If you run a high-volume online store, your entire ecosystem relies on automated triggers.
Abandoned cart sequences.
Right. Shipping updates, post-purchase follow-ups, promotional broadcasts.
Not all of it.
If your marketing team is constantly pausing campaigns because they are terrified of hitting a tier limit and triggering a massive fee increase.
You are artificially choking your own revenue stream.
Exactly.
It also completely changes the game for digital marketing agencies.
How so?
An agency can now manage massive, complex client lists without eating exorbitant software overhead.
That's a huge competitive advantage.
And for educators, coaches, or content creators, having integrated zero tracking live streaming means they can run massive webinars and community events without paying separate, massive subscriptions for webinar software.
Everything is in one place. And the market response documented in the source material is wild.
The reviews are crazy.
Trustpilot reviews aren't just polite, they are euphoric.
Euphoric is the right word.
Users are documenting 30% baseline increases in their open rates.
30%.
They're tracking 25% jumps in direct sales conversions.
That's massive.
And a massive recurring theme in the feedback is the support.
Yes, the support.
Evangelos didn't outsource customer service to a script reading call center.
No, he staffed the support channels with actual veteran digital marketers available 24/7.
Which is another manifestation of the tangerine tree dropping excess fruit.
It really is.
He isn't just providing technical troubleshooting, like here's how you reset your password.
No, he is providing users with high-level strategic consulting.
He is giving them access to his own expertise.
And he took that educational distribution even further.
The YouTube channel.
Yes, he recognized that handing someone a limitless enterprise-grade weapon is dangerous if they don't possess the tactical knowledge to use it effectively.
Right, you need to know how to drive the truck.
So he launched the 0 to Million YouTube channel, and specifically the 30-day email challenge.
The 30-day email challenge.
This initiative is the purest expression of the recycle and distribution principles.
Break that down for us.
Evangelos possesses decades of hard-won, incredibly lucrative knowledge regarding consumer psychology, technical deliverability, and campaign architecture.
He's an expert.
In the standard digital marketing space, that level of insight is fiercely guarded behind $5,000 masterclass paywalls.
Oh, absolutely.
Evangelos distributes it entirely for free through daily live streams and a massive video curriculum.
Free distribution. The 30-day email challenge provides a granular day-by-day operational playbook for building an email revenue engine.
It does.
But when people inevitably ask him for the secret hack,
A magic bullet?
right, the magic subject line, or the secret send time that guarantees millions, he immediately shuts down that line of thinking.
He does. He explicitly states that the only actual secret is consistency and persistence.
The C and the P of nature.
Because he views an email list not as a database to be strip mined, but as a biological relationship to be cultivated.
You cannot hack a relationship.
No, you can't. It requires the slow, deliberate, reliable introduction of value over time.
His ultimate directive in the source material perfectly encapsulates this.
What does he say?
He pleads with marketers, do not just send them sales pitches and promotional emails. Send them valuable content, helpful tips, and personalized messages.
It's all about value.
He is demanding that the industry stop acting like parasites extracting value and start acting like the tangerine tree.
Drop value.
Provide genuine, unprompted nourishment, because if you build profound trust by being relentlessly helpful,
The conversions and the revenue will naturally manifest as a byproduct of that loyalty.
look at the incredible symmetry of this narrative.
It's really something.
It reveals a life of complete philosophical alignment.
Top to bottom.
He initiated his journey selling fruit to tourists on a dusty Greek road.
Realizing that survival depended on a smile and a genuine desire to connect with a stranger.
He then swept cobblestone streets in Italy in the dark, using physical labor to silently communicate his inherent worth and reliability.
And today?
Today, he is architecting global digital infrastructure, manipulating open source code and server nodes to help millions of people build relationships across the globe.
The physical medium has evolved from dropping fruit to tracing flour on a table to routing fiber optic data packets.
But the underlying operational code,
Bring good news. Offer undeniable value first.
it has never deviated for a second.
Never.
Let's synthesize the absolute core of this deep dive.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
We have tracked the extraordinary trajectory of Evangelos Taxiarchis. We started with a 13-year-old boy suspended in a tangerine tree.
Experiencing a profound revelation regarding the boundless aggressive generosity of the natural world.
We followed a 15-year-old runaway who plunged into the absolute unknown, sweeping Italian streets, armed only with a broom and the stoic resilience of Aristotle and Marcus Aurelius.
We witnessed a man endure 25 grueling years of grit termination.
Leveraging a daily mantra of service to ascend through complex business structures.
And finally, we explored how that lifetime of rigorous philosophical application culminated in no-limit emails.
A revolutionary technological platform that actively dismantles digital scarcity
Democratizes enterprise infrastructure.
and engineers pure abundance through open source mechanics.
It serves as a monumental proof of concept, really.
How so?
Your internal worldview fundamentally dictates the architecture of the systems you build.
Wow, yeah.
If your baseline belief is that the world operates on scarcity, you will inevitably build walls, erect toll booths, and design software that penalizes growth and extracts maximum rent. But if you genuinely believe, as Evangelos does, that nature possesses zero lack and that abundance is the default state of reality,
You will inevitably build systems that shatter limits, distribute profit, and ruthlessly empower the end user. So we turn this directly over to you.
The Levner.
Examine the architecture of your own life right now. Look at the business you are building, the teams you are managing, or simply the way you interface with your clients and your community.
Are you operating from a defensive posture of artificial scarcity and restriction?
Are you meticulously measuring out every ounce of your effort, terrified of providing too much value without immediate compensation?
Or are you operating like the tangerine tree?
Are you producing so much undeniable value and distributing it so generously that everyone in your blast radius cannot help but thrive because of your presence?
I want to leave you with a final thought regarding the nature of communication itself.
Okay, what is it?
Evangelos survived his most vulnerable years, relying entirely on the silent, undeniable language of nature and the universal language of physical action.
Right, sweeping the streets.
He proved his worth with a broom in the dark, and he negotiated his livelihood by drawing in spilled flour.
We currently inhabit an era of unprecedented noise.
Exactly. We are buried under an avalanche of text messages, automated Slack pings, algorithmic social feeds, and endless automated email blasts.
But amidst all that data transfer, are we actually saying anything of value?
In the email marketing industry, we obsess over the technical metrics of deliverability, the dark art of tricking a spam filter.
But perhaps true deliverability has nothing to do with server configurations.
Perhaps true deliverability is ensuring that your message actually possesses the substance, the honesty, and the genuine generosity to nourish the human being on the other end of the screen.
Because nature has no tongue to speak, but it has a body that talks.
The ultimate question is, what is your body of work saying about you?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the source material.
It's been quite a journey.
We hope this story of radical abundance challenges your assumptions and inspires you to build systems that uplift people around you. Keep analyzing, keep building, and we will catch you on the next one.
Tighter limits on your email chain. No more caps, no more shame. Send them here, send them all day. No limit emails likes the way. No limit emails, break on through. Unlimited power just for you. Grow your business, watch it soar. Sign up now and send some more. No limits, no excuses, only growth. You control, transform your business today. Woo! No limits, unlimited potential. Get started at get.nolimitemails.com. Tighter limits on your email chain. No more caps, no more shame. Send them here, send them all day. No limit emails likes the way. No limit emails, break on through. Unlimited power just for you. Grow your
Welcome back to
business,
Deep
watch it
Dive.
soar.
So we are
Sign up
going
now and
deep
send
into
some
this
more.
massive stack
No
of
limits, no excuses, only growth. You
And,
control, transform
today's
your
subject
business.
is maybe the most audacious global initiative we have ever seen.
It really is.
We've been going through everything surrounding this project from Evangelos to Axiarchus, and it's not just about a new currency. It aims to fundamentally restructure global value itself.
It's a total vision for a new civilization, really. And our mission today is to just give you the blueprint. We're unpacking Organismo Vivo, which, translates to living organism.
Right.
It's a proposed human-centric blockchain system. And its whole purpose is to assign intrinsic worth to all living things. And the goal is staggering to solve global disillusionment.
And the sources we have for this they're incredible. This isn't just a white paper. We've got philosophical treatises. We have incredibly detailed mathematical algorithms.
The math is something else.
Oh yeah. Full legal frameworks, implementation timelines, and even like the UI plans for a biometric ID app. It's a complete blueprint. And to really get it, we have to start with the cynicism that's driving this whole thing.
Exactly. If we look at the core motivation, it all stems from this really deep societal disillusionment. The source documents, they make it very clear that the creators see our current economic systems as morally bankrupt.
Not just flawed, but fundamentally broken.
Completely. They talk about a crisis of meaning. There's one quote that really sets the tone. It just argues that All coins are scams, including fiat, and then it hits you with this, that humanity's value chains are just one more tine on enslaved humanity.
Wow. That's more than a critique. It's basically a declaration of war on the entire modern economy.
It is. It frames the whole system as exploitative because value is tied to scarcity and debt, not, your actual existence.
So if the system is that broken, how exactly does Organismo Vivo propose to fix it?
Well, it's positioned as the definitive answer. The core idea is to introduce an economic framework that's all about transparency and decentralization. It prioritizes what they call intrinsic worth over speculative wealth.
And their vision is it's enormous. The sources lay out 3 high-level objectives. First, redefine the global value system. Just, start from scratch.
And second, to establish a blockchain-based registry, a way to record and preserve what people contribute for future generations. They call them digital legacies.
Digital legacies, okay.
And third, and this is key to the name Organismo Vivo, is to integrate sustainability directly into the economic models. It explicitly links prosperity to the health of the environment.
So it's not just about human value, it's about the value of the entire planet.
Exactly. It moves away from things like GDP towards a more holistic ecological accounting.
Which, okay, that immediately brings up the biggest, most controversial question. If you're going to redefine value, you have to quantify it.
You have to put a number on it.
And this is where we get into the most specific and frankly astounding parts of the source material, the actual math.
And what's fascinating is the sheer audacity of it. The mathematical algorithm, Organismo Vivo value chain, assigns every single human being a guaranteed base value at birth. And that value is 10 billion units.
10 billion.
10 billion.
So just for existing, you're worth 10 billion units. That's a massive psychological shift right there.
It is. It's the irreducible baseline. But, and this is important, the sources make it clear that this value is dynamic. It's adjusted by what they call a contribution factor, or C.
Okay, let's unpack that, the contribution factor, because this seems like the mechanism that decides if this is a utopia or just, a new kind of transparent hierarchy. How is C calculated?
Well, the sources define C as this really complex variable that tries to measure positive societal impact. So anything from caring for someone who's sick to scientific discovery to maintaining ecological balance.
So your value is transparently tracked and adjusted based on what you do.
Exactly. The implication is profound. And yes, it absolutely risks creating a sort of social ranking. But the crucial point is that newborns automatically get that base of 10 billion right away.
So you can't drop below the base, but your ceiling is determined by your positive impact. And this whole idea extends way beyond people, doesn't it?
It does. It connects directly to planetary health. The math includes a total value calculation for organisms, V total. It accounts for the interdependence of all living things. They even have an ecological balance factor, E.
And what does that E factor actually measure?
So E is designed to adjust the whole system's value based on environmental changes. It might pull in data on, say, deforestation rates or biodiversity or water purity in a specific region.
So if a community destroys a local forest, their collective value actually goes down.
In theory, yes. It directly links local commerce to ecological sustainability.
Okay, so you have this incredibly complex system trying to quantify everything, which means you absolutely have to make it resistant to cheating.
It has to be bulletproof.
If you're critiquing scams, your own system has to be impervious. How do they plan to ensure that integrity?
They lean on standard cryptographic integrity. The Organismo Vivo protocol mentions using hash functions like SHA-256 to sign every block so the data can't be tampered with. It's pretty standard stuff for security.
And for consensus, for keeping the global ledger in sync, they specify proof of stake, right?
Yes, proof of stake. They argue it's less energy intensive than proof of work, which, lines up with their whole sustainability ethos. And the governance is decentralized. Stakeholder votes are weighted by their stake in the network.
So the people most invested have the biggest say.
Right. The idea is they'll act to preserve the system's long-term health.
That leads perfectly into one of the most interesting parts of this whole project, the big technology pivot they made. Because it started out looking like a lot of other crypto projects, but then they just rejected the entire framework.
That's the key pivot. The initial concept was surprisingly conventional. They planned to launch an Organismo Vivo meme token using the standard ERC20 protocol on Ethereum, probably.
Right, with goals like getting listed on a CEX and getting audits from CertiK or Hacken. Very standard.
For anyone unfamiliar, CEX is a centralized exchange, like Coinbase. The original plan was pretty much to build on top of the existing financial web.
So why did they abandon that?
They realized it compromised their core mission. If you're building a fee-free system to end financial exploitation, you can't build it on infrastructure like Ethereum that charges gas fees for every single transaction.
Ah, right. The fees would kill the entire model, but abandoning everything to build from scratch. That's insane.
It is radical. The document
What if the very foundation of how we define value, even, our own worth, is built on a flawed premise? And what if there's a revolutionary plan out there, a really profound blueprint designed to completely redefine our global society from the ground up?
Yeah.
Welcome to the deep dive. We take your complex source material, pull out the most important nuggets, and help you get truly well-informed fast. Today, we're embarking on a fascinating deep dive into a project by Evangelos Taxiarchis, known as Organismo Vivo.
It's an incredibly ambitious vision, yeah. It aims to answer what feels like a fundamental call for humanity in a time of, well, significant need. The sources you've provided for this deep dive, they lay out a whole series of interconnected proposals. It ranges from these deep philosophical calls to action, all the way to intricate technical specifications, and even a radical reimagining of digital interaction.
That's right. So our mission today is to unpack this entire vision. We want to explore its ambitious objectives and truly understand the groundbreaking methods proposed to achieve what the project describes as a fairer, more sustainable, and unified global society. And we've got a lot to work with here. White papers, detailed project plans, complex mathematical algorithms, even insights into how they plan to quantify the intrinsic value of life itself. Okay, let's unpack this. So the project doesn't just jump straight into the tech side of things, does it? It kicks off with a really powerful philosophical statement from Evangelos Taxiarchis. It paints this vivid picture of humanity's responsibility. What's the core message there? And why is it so central to Organismo Vivo?
It's quite profound, actually. The core idea presented is that we, as living beings with intelligence, have basically inherited God's garden, our planet and all life on it. The responsibility isn't to exploit or destroy it, but the opposite, to nurture and protect it. The document strongly emphasizes unity, collective strength, and it draws this stark contrast to our history of conflicts. And then it poses this really direct, almost urgent question: why can't we make that leap right now? This isn't just some philosophical musing, it's positioned as the foundational plea for a new kind of global collaboration.
Yeah, it feels less like an academic paper and more like a direct challenge to the status quo, almost a spiritual plea mixed with a very, very practical problem statement. That's a powerful way to set the stage.
And from that philosophical foundation, a very concrete proposal emerges. It's dated February 18th, 2025, and addressed to, well, basically everyone who matters: global governments, international organizations, policymakers. This is where the Organismo Vivo project proper aims to introduce a revolutionary, human-centric value system.
Okay, so after this broad philosophical framing, the proposal gets specific. It aims to recognize and preserve the intrinsic worth of every human being and all living organisms. It's extraordinary ambition. I mean, how do they even begin to plan to make that concept a tangible reality?
Well, the proposal is to do this through decentralized technology, transparent governance, and a sustainable economic framework. The objectives are laid out pretty clearly. First, redefine the global value system for fair recognition of human contributions, not just financial ones. Second, establish a decentralized, fee-free economic framework to prevent financial exploitation. That's a big one. Third, develop a blockchain-based registry to record and kind of preserve human contributions for future generations, like historical ledger of value. Fourth, create an inclusive governance structure, representatives from all nations, all sectors. And finally, integrate sustainability principles right into the core of global economic models. Essentially, they're proposing a radical re-architecture of society's fundamental operating system, moving away from a capital-centric valuation towards human and ecological worth.
That sounds absolutely monumental. How do they envision rolling something like this out? Are there specific stages outlined, or is it more of a, continuous evolution?
No, there's actually a very structured three-phase approach outlined. Phase 1, that's set for 6 months, is focused purely on research and development. This includes feasibility studies. Can this even work with current systems? Extensive stakeholder engagement, talking to governments, economists, technologists. initial tech development for what they call the Human Contracts Protocol and their decentralized governance model, plus a thorough legal and ethical compliance review. You have to get that right.
Okay, 6 months R&D. What's next?
Phase 2 is a pilot program planned for 1 year. This involves selecting progressive governments, as they put it, to test the system out, creating that universal blockchain-based registry for human contributions we talked about, establishing a global council for governance, and launching public education campaigns, getting people on board.
And the final phase?
Finally, phase 3, global expansion. This is projected to take 2 to 3 years. This phase focuses on policy integration across nations, establishing those fee-free, decentralized financial systems globally, developing sustainable economic infrastructure, and ensuring worldwide equity through broad participation.
Wow. The expected outcomes they're painting here are just incredibly ambitious. A transparent, fair economic system valuing contributions beyond just material wealth. Global collaboration, unity, a sustainable future, a decentralized fee-free financial network. It almost sounds utopian, doesn't it? What do the sources say about the potential hurdles or, criticisms they anticipate in achieving something of this magnitude?
Well, the documents do implicitly acknowledge the inherent challenges. Transforming global systems isn't easy. While they don't explicitly list, say, point-by-point criticisms they expect, the very structure of their plan, especially the emphasis on global council representation and that phased rollout with public education, it suggests they know they need broad buy-in. They seem aware they'll need to address a lot of skepticism.
But of course, a vision this ambitious, especially one redefining something as fundamental as value, is bound to face skepticism, deep skepticism. And our sources show that Evangelos Taxiarchis directly confronts some profoundly nihilistic views on this very topic. There's an interaction document where an internet user expresses a really stark viewpoint, basically saying, all coins are scams, including fiat, true value of anything this life, nothing is valuable, including your life and my life. Everything turns to dust. Humanity is scam. Valuation, values is created to enslave humanity when they live in yachts and jets. Light, everyone on Earth is involved in value chains. It's just one more chain on enslaved humanity that is dumb and stupid dogmacy. That's a pretty strong statement.
It certainly is, and it raises that crucial question. How does Organismo Vivo respond to such a fundamental challenge to its very premise? Evangelos Taxiarchis' answer, as presented in the sources, is quite comprehensive. He unpacks the nature of value, explaining it's inherently influenced by cultural beliefs, personal experience, economic systems. He acknowledges money's dual role. Yeah, it can fuel growth, but it also has this potential for manipulation. And he directly addresses that feeling of enslavement that the user mentioned, linking it to consumerism and wealth disparities.
So it's not just about introducing a new system, it's about profoundly shifting a mindset.
Okay.
What practical advice does he offer that? Does someone grappling with these feelings of disillusionment or nihilism?
Yeah, the advice shifts the focus away from external things like money towards finding internal meaning. It suggests a few things. First, reframing value, actively seeking intrinsic worth in relationships, experiences, knowledge, consciously challenging those traditional notions of value. Second, finding meaning beyond materialism through acts of contribution, kindness, volunteering, activism, and maybe adopting principles of minimalism. Third, engaging with like-minded individuals, joining communities, attending workshops on philosophy or social change, finding your people, essentially. Fourth, practicing mindfulness and gratitude through things like meditation or journaling, basic grounding techniques. And finally, exploring philosophy and literature, reading works that tackle these big existential themes, humanity's purpose, that sort of thing.
Right. And from this very personal philosophical advice, a more structured working plan emerges to actually fix this problem on a broader scale.
Precisely. This plan outlines 5 key areas of action. 1, promote awareness and education community workshops, educational programs about alternative value systems. 2, encourage sustainable practices, promoting minimalism, supporting local economies, cooperatives. 3, foster community engagement, things like volunteer initiatives, building strong support networks. 4, advocate for systemic change, engaging policymakers, launching public awareness campaigns to push for bigger shifts. And finally, 5, personal development initiatives offering things like mindfulness programs and philosophy circles to help individuals with their own internal transformation.
Okay, so after grasping the grand vision and the philosophical underpinnings, my next question when reading all this was, okay, how on earth do they plan to build this? And that's where the documents dive into some surprisingly detailed technical plans, covering everything from a very unique way to quantify value to something as unexpected as a meme token. Let's get into those nuts and bolts.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the sheer scope of the proposed technical infrastructure. There's a specific white paper detailing a blockchain based value system aiming to quantify the worth of every human and, indeed, all living beings.
Quantify worth. I keep coming back to that. That's such a bold claim. How exactly would that work?
Well, it outlines what they call a transparent value assessment using a decentralized ledger, a shared unchangeable record to log intrinsic value. And this value is based on contributions, creativity, potential future impact. The documents explicitly state these records would be immutable, unchangeable, and involve global participation. And they even provide specific formulas in their mathematical algorithm. Organismo vivo value chain. Get this. Each human at birth would automatically receive a base value of 10 billion units just for existing. This value could then be adjusted dynamically over their lifetime based on a contribution score, things they do, create, etc. But what's even more groundbreaking, perhaps, is that this system extends to all living organisms, not just humans. There's an ecological balance factor reflecting species interdependence.
So not just humans, but plants, animals,
Yeah.
everything quantified. That base value, 10 billion units for a newborn. It sounds incredibly symbolic.
Yeah.
But how would this value actually work in a practical sense? Is it like a digital currency, or is it something more fundamental that shapes, say, resource allocation or social status?
The sources suggest it's more fundamental than just currency. It's described as an intrinsic, non monetary value. It establishes a new baseline for worth. And yes, the idea is that this would inform resource allocation, prioritize life itself. It aims to redefine what wealth actually means in this new system. And for practical identification within this system, they propose the Organismo Vivo biometric identification app. It's designed to be user friendly, even for children and families.
Okay, a biometric app. What are its key features? And how does that connect back to quantifying value?
Its features include secure login and registration using, well, the usual biometrics, voice recognition, fingerprint scanning, facial recognition. It's planned to support multiple languages, have parental controls, and of course, robust security and privacy measures. That's crucial. The technical side mentions using established APIs. Those are application programming interfaces, tools allowing software to talk like Google Cloud speech to text and Amazon recognition, and developing it cross-platform using popular frameworks like Flutter or React Native so it works on different devices. The connection to value is that this app would be the secure gateway for individuals. It's how you'd access and interact with your recorded intrinsic value and those contribution scores within the system.
Right, makes sense. But then the project even discusses launching a meme token. That seems like such a surprising contrast to this profound philosophical vision.
It does, doesn't it? A bit jarring at first glance, but the Organismo Vim token project plan outlines launching this token specifically to promote awareness of the intrinsic value of life. So it's seen primarily as a public engagement tool, a way to get the message out there in a maybe more accessible format. It mentions potential utility like staking, where you hold tokens to support the network and maybe earn rewards, or NFTs related to biodiversity, unique digital assets representing conservation efforts, maybe, and DeFi integrations, decentralized finance applications that would directly support environmental projects. The plan covers the whole life cycle: smart contract development, security audits, pre-launch marketing, launching on DX's decentralized exchanges, and ongoing growth strategies.
Okay, so the meme token is more about outreach. What about the underlying blockchain technology for these operations before we get to that radical pivot you mentioned earlier?
Right, before the pivot, there's a dedicated mathematical blockchain algorithm, Organismo Vivo protocol. It details using a SHA-256 hash function for data integrity. That's a standard cryptographic process to ensure data hasn't been tampered with. It specifies a particular block structure and, importantly, a proof-of-stake POS consensus mechanism. They specifically emphasize POS because they believe it's more secure against 51% attacks, where one entity could gain control and manipulate the network compared to older methods like proof of work, which also uses a lot more energy. It also outlines how transactions would be validated by multiple nodes, an incentive structure for those validators, and decentralized governance through a voting mechanism weighted by state how many tokens you hold.
Okay, so that's the blockchain plan. But this is where our deep dive takes that really unexpected turn, revealing what seems like a major evolution in the project's thinking.
Yeah.
Because despite all those detailed plans for a blockchain-based system and meme tokens, the sources then reveal a later proposal for a, quote, totally new technology that doesn't need current smart contract, and a wallet that's separated from current blockchains. This sounds like a complete rethink, a pivot away from blockchain altogether.
It really is a crucial pivot, yeah. The rationale given is to completely eliminate fees for contract creation. That seems key. And to ensure what they call a human system that avoids fake MIMS, which I take to mean speculative or perhaps worthless digital assets, and avoids the current value systems they see as exploitative. The goal, stated pretty clearly, is to move away from current blockchain models entirely and build something entirely new from the ground up.
So if it's not a smart contract on an existing blockchain,
Yeah.
what does this new human contracts protocol actually look like conceptually? How would it function for, you and me in our daily lives?
Here. It outlines a completely new conceptual framework for digital interaction. Its core principles are truly human-centric contracts, first and foremost. Crucially, no transaction fees, ever. That's a radical departure. Decentralized governance allowing all stakeholders, not just token holders, to participate. And trustless interactions without needing traditional intermediaries like banks or platforms. The data structure proposed is a human contract structure. It would have unique IDs, clear identification of the parties involved, the terms of the agreement, value assignments based on their system, and digital signatures for security. For consensus, how everyone agrees on the state of things, they propose something really interesting called proof of humanity.
Proof of humanity, not proof of work or proof of stake.
Exactly. Think of it less about computers solving puzzles and more like a community-driven verification system. People would essentially vouch for or validate each other's identities, creating this network of trusted human connections rather than relying purely on computing power. It's designed to be lightweight and accessible to everyone. And finally, the wallet system would be a standalone application, completely separate, specifically for managing these human contracts, totally detached from any existing blockchain infrastructure.
Wow. That sounds like building a completely new digital backbone just for human interaction, separate from the existing internet infrastructure in a way, just for these contracts. It's a massive, massive undertaking.
Absolutely. And to underpin this vast vision, whether it ended up being blockchain-based or this totally new protocol, the project proposes a highly inclusive and very distributed governance and development structure.
How on earth are they planning to manage such a globally ambitious initiative? I mean, the coordination challenges alone must be immense.
Well, the custodians and development team structure they outline is truly unique. It's designed to be as globally representative as possible. The core development team would consist of exactly one representative from each of the 195 countries recognized by the United Nations, one per country. Each country representative would be responsible for cultural representation, community engagement within their nation, and providing that crucial local feedback. And then, crucially, each of these country representatives would collaborate closely with 5 sector representatives from within their own nation.
5 sector reps per country. Who are they?
An armed forces representative, a policing representative, a science representative, an agriculture representative, and a community leader or activist. So really trying to get a cross-section of society involved.
Thinking about that structure. 1 rep from every country plus 5 sectors within each. It paints a picture of, well, potential bureaucracy on a scale we've almost never seen. Yet simultaneously, it's designed to be deeply democratic and grassroots. It really makes you wonder how that balance would actually play out in practice. Who oversees the whole project with so many moving parts then? Is there a central committee?
The project would be managed by various custodians. It's not one central person. There'd be a legal custodian for compliance, a financial custodian for budget and transparency, a technical custodian overseeing development and security, a community engagement custodian, and an environmental custodian. This multi-custodian approach is meant to ensure different facets of the project are expertly guided. And yes, the documents detail a system where decision-making would be truly distributed, relying heavily on voting mechanisms for key initiatives involving all these representatives.
And they put a budget figure on setting this global team up.
They did, and this is quite surprising. The budget estimation for the global team recruitment and initial setup is remarkably modest, around $29,200. That's supposed to cover recruitment, training, and initial operational costs for potentially hundreds of representatives globally.
$29,000. That sounds incredibly low for that scale.
It certainly stands out, yeah. It implies either a huge reliance on volunteerism, maybe existing governmental resources being utilized, or just extremely efficient, lean operations. The sources don't fully elaborate on how that figure is reached.
Okay. Lastly, what about the legal framework? Navigating the complexities of a new global value system, whether it's blockchain-based or this entirely new human contracts protocol that must be incredibly complex legally.
Absolutely. The legal infrastructure management plan outlined is indeed comprehensive, reflecting that complexity. It addresses regulatory compliance through detailed jurisdictional analysis, figuring out the rules in every single country. It talks about token classification, if they did use tokens, determining if they're a utility or a security under frameworks like MiCA in Europe or SEC guidelines in the US. That has huge implications. Obtaining necessary licenses, things like VASP, Virtual Asset Service Provider, or CASP, Crypto Asset Service Provider licenses, which are basically legal authorizations for handling digital assets in different regions. It includes developing clear white papers in terms of service, implementing robust anti-money laundering, AML, and know your customer, KYC procedures. These are essential for preventing illicit activities and verifying user identities, plus comprehensive risk assessments and securing insurance. And transparency is stressed as a key pillar, regular public disclosures, community engagement through AMAs, Ask Me Anything sessions, and FAQ.
Gather the moments, let them be your guide. Dream big, shine bright, there's so much in store. Open your heart, let it soar. With each tiny step, watch your worries unwind. You'll find all the treasures of a limitless mind. Step out the door, feel the sun on your face. The world is a canvas, go find your place. Too many settle for the shadows of doubt, but in the light of your dreams, it's time to stand out. Dream big, shine bright, there's so much in store. Open your heart, let it soar. With each tiny step, watch your worries unwind. You'll find all the treasures of a limitless mind. Turn the tide, let the waves roll in. Embrace every challenge as your journey begins. Not a teaspoon in sight, but a bucket so wide. Gather the moments, let them be your guide. Dream big, shine bright, there's so much in store. Open your heart, let it soar. With each tiny step, watch your worries unwind. You'll find all the treasures of a limitless mind.